Welcome to the Lounge Lizards podcast, best of 2022 episode. It's so good to have you here. It's a leisure and lifestyle podcast founded on our love of premium cigars, as well as whiskey, travel, food, work, and whatever else we feel like getting into. My name is Gizmo, and I'm joined by Rooster, Pooba, Senator, Pagoda, Grinder, and Bam Bam. And our plan is always to smoke a cigar, drink a spirit, talk about life, and of course, have some laughs. So take this as yet another invitation to join us and become a card-carrying lounge lizard. Plan to meet us here once a week. We're going to go through some of our and your favorite clips from the last year. So sit back, get your favorite drink, light up a cigar, and enjoy as we review an amazing year of cigars and spirits from 2022. We're going to start with a frequent listener question featuring a clip from episode 3, The Origin of the Lizard Nicknames. So let's go to some listener email here for a second, and then we'll do our
nice.
We'll do our formal lizard rating on the Exclusivo. So Ed writes after the last pod, I'm enjoying the podcast. Can you guys explain the origin of nicknames such as Bam Bam?
Oh boy.
Pooba, I
So,
feel like
Pooba,
you were
this
the
is-
mastermind behind these.
You just want to go around the ring, Pooba?
Let's go around the ring. Let's start with Bam and go.
So I will tell you before you say anything, so a lot of guys have asked me the same question, and Pooba gave me my birth name.
He gave all of us, sir. All of us are
Our lizard name.
You were born again.
I was born
my
again.
goodness.
Are lizards
taxed with
born
this
into shells?
narrative. Okay, let me go into the.
Come
let
on,
me-
Dad.
I didn't prep for this, but okay.
Puppy. I'm a puppy.
Well,
Big puppy.
he's a formidable man, Bam Bam. So
he's a man's man.
he has musculature.
I'm moving the mic away from my face.
He's a formidable man.
man's
Formidable
man.
Would you
He's
say he's a
man's
man bam?
Well, yeah, and he's a
Bam
little
man?
yes. He's a little bit rough and tumble. So I don't know. It just so Bam with this,
Thank you, ma'am.
with Bam Bam.
Oh, Pagoda.
He. So that's where that came from. He likes to go bam bam on a lot of things.
Go ahead, let it loose, will you? Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean,
I give you
and there-
I give you permission. Go ahead.
Yeah, he likes to swing a stick.
He's a good golfer.
Go bam bam.
The
just say that.
swinging.
He's a good golfer.
Thank you, Rooster.
Let's just say that. I'll leave it at that. Okay, so
God.
all right. So as we were hanging out, so in the lounge, so getting to Grinder, in the lounge, great, So one thing about Grinder is he's got like this crazy, he has a crazy, insane work ethic. So, I would show up at the lounge at 5:30, 6 o'clock, and I'd say
8 o'clock,
8 o'clock, whatever it was. How long have you been, you're still on your laptop? And he'd be like, yeah. And I'd be like, okay. And then I'd show up the next time at the lounge and I'd see him and he's on his laptop. I'm like, what's up? He's like, what's up? And then he wouldn't talk and he wouldn't say anything. He's super quiet. And I'm like, what's going on with this guy? And then I get to know him more and more. And he's constantly working on slide decks and deliverables for his clients. So that's how he got the name Grind. I go, you're always grinding it out, baby. You're grinding. I'd sit down. I go, what you doing, baby? And he'd go, no, I'm working. I go, you're grinding. So that's how he got the Grinder name.
Pagoda.
And then Pagoda's name is.
Hold on, just make sure he doesn't have the knife, okay?
Well, no, he does have the knife. So there's a scene in the Royal Tenenbaums.
Great movie.
Without giving too much away, but Pagoda was born in India but raised in the UK, and he has this wonderful accent and everything else. And I don't know. There's a scene in the Royal Tenenbaums, and there's a character named the Wes Anderson movie, and there's a character named Pagoda who's like Gene Hackman's, I don't know, sidekick
Nemesis.
Well, no, they're like friends. And Pagoda's this really nice guy, and he's this gentle guy. But then one day he takes out a Swiss Army knife and he just stabs Gene Hackman in the stomach with the Swiss Army knife. And he's like, "You just stabbed me. Why did you just stab me?" And because he's reserved, and the Pagoda character in the Royal Tenenbaums is like this reserved, pleasant, polite guy. But once in a while,
he'll shank you.
He'll shank you, and that's exactly what. And that's exactly what Pagoda will do. So that's how. So he's reserved and so polite, but then once in a while he'll just come out and he'll just stab you with the Swiss Army knife. So that's how Pagoda got his name.
Point of personal privilege, as the socialists say. I didn't really get the nickname until I was shanked.
Can I tell that
You did
story?
get shanked
Can I
by
tell
him.
that story?
I was aggressively shanked by Pagoda.
Can I tell that story?
Go ahead.
All right. So we're at another cigar lounge that we frequent. And I actually had a hard time understanding the Pagoda name because I hadn't seen the movie for this context. But after this story, I very quickly understood exactly why this was a very fitting nickname. And I love it because that's one of the things I love about Pagoda is just he's the happiest guy. And then he just has these really witty, sharp, hysterical comments. And you just love these shanks. They're tremendous. And so we're sitting there and we're talking about, for some reason, just some of the worst cigars we've ever had. And Pagoda has no context of cigars that either Grinder or I are particularly passionate about or once really liked at all. And Pagoda sits there and he goes, I had this horrible cigar. And he goes, I don't even consider myself an expert, but I just found it to be terrible. And he goes, it was this strange octagonal shaped cigar. And it was this Plasencia Almafuerte. It was just horrendous. I would never smoke this cigar again. And I'm sitting there practically on the verge of tears because at one point, one of Grinder's favorite cigars was the Plasencia Almafuerte. Pagoda has no context to know this. And so he is sitting there eviscerating this cigar. I'm in tears laughing, and Grinder is just sitting there trying to remove the shank from his side, and he's like bleeding out in the chair. I mean, it was just unbelievable.
Senator, it wasn't even that. It was the fact that he kept coming back for more. It was like we got it. And then he was like, just so you know, it fucking sucks. And my only defense was that shape is not the shape that I like.
No, fair enough. I didn't know that. My thought was I was just giving an honest opinion about a cigar I didn't like. But at the same time, I think when you have an easy target.
There he is.
There's a shank right there.
When you have an easy target, shank them.
That's why it's the Swiss Army knife. It's not a machete. It's the small. It's like this small little fucking pinprick that it just.
See, I would call them zingers, but
Zingers,
zingers don't work.
But we're using the Pagoda analogy and the knifing and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Absolutely, and so then we come to the senator, and the senator got his name because he's he's the most intelligent man in the room, probably the highest IQ here. He's an Ivy League educated guy, and he's got the silver tongue. And
does have the silver tongue.
He has the silver tongue. And so at the former lounge that we used to belong to, there were always kind of like let's call it politics that would go on, things that would happen. Let's just say we had a contentious relationship with management, and so we would discuss these things, and then we would say, well, what are we going to do about it? And the senator got his name because he would say, well, I'll leave it to me. I will take care of this conversation. and so he worked on Capitol Hill for a little while and has experience in politics and things like that. So that's how the senator got his name because he's the senator. So
It's a great negotiator.
He's a great negotiator.
I was about to say that.
And he delivers.
So-
and he delivers.
And he delivers on that.
In
the
the
tongue
most,
delivers.
if I may,
Senator always delivers.
yeah, if I may, in the most difficult situations that we
Yes.
experienced at that place, we all just my head swiveled right to his chair. We didn't have to say a
We would
word.
basically bring up all the key issues, and he'd
Well,
be like,
no.
"I'm going to consolidate this now."
But
and
he
then
would get up.
I'm going to
But
come up
hold
with a
on.
strategy, and now I'm going to
But
go negotiate this.
Senator would actually get up, get the owner on the phone,
Yeah,
and set him in his place.
right.
So you could get extra 15 minutes.
Extra 15 goddamn minutes. but the silver tongue
Or
would come
Saturday
out.
or
But he
Saturday
got
hours.
Saturday hours. That's
He did-
big.
Yeah, that's huge.
That was big.
And
Never
no one was
done
able
before.
to do that.
Yes.
And then we get to Gizmo. So Gizmo, one he looks like. So Gizmo.
Which wasn't his original name.
No, his
Opie.
original name was Opie because he kind of looks like Opie from the Andy Griffith show, a little bit like Ron Howard type look as a boy, but as a young child is Gizmo. So it was originally Opie, but then it migrated to Gizmo because when you put certain ingredients into this little gremlin. Certain things happen.
Kitty litter.
Yeah, as one.
McCowan 12
Well, Chivas Regal.
and Chivas. Oh, God. Chivas 18.
Oh, that was probably
So if you put
the genesis of
the genesis of it. So one night we injected. Well, we didn't, but a local business owner with where we live injected a lot of Chivas Regal into Opie, and that was
force fed.
force fed it to him, and that was when he
Transformed.
transformed and exploded with vomit.
He had to do payroll. He was doing payroll.
Yeah, he was doing payroll.
At 2 a.m.
I did have to do payroll.
I got to do payroll at 1 a.m.
2 a.m.? Okay.
1 a.m. I got to do payroll. All of a sudden, he's doing payroll.
All of a sudden, he's doing payroll. But if you put certain ingredients into Gizmo, like a gremlin, like if you put a water on a gremlin, they freak out. So and also kind of Gizmo ladders back to this notion that he's great with stuff. He's
a
great.
creator.
He's a creator.
He can fix anything.
He
can
makes
fix
things.
anything.
Gizmo puts the Geek Squad at Best Buy to shame.
Oh.
It is
Sure.
ridiculous.
Sure.
Just for some
Absolutely.
context here,
No
this
doubt.
was another name that
No question.
I sort of understood and I wasn't sold on. And then over time, I'm sitting there saying Pooba just has this wisdom that he sees where all of us are heading. Because with Gizmo, this is a guy who takes some big
50-inch TV.
a 50-inch TV that is basically dead. And instead of
It's
throwing
out
it
for
out,
garbage.
out for garbage. All of us would have just thrown it out. It doesn't turn on. It doesn't work.
Throw it
and
in the
he
lake.
replaces like the entire motherboard or whatever the hell it's called and gets the TV working.
Yeah.
This is a guy who creates with a battery and some other stuff that he, I'm sure, procured and made in his own home to create a fan in his tower humidor and was actually making this for other lizards.
Which is now for sale, by the way.
remarkable.
He can make a 1K TV into an 8K TV.
So basically, net, he comes with instructions and he can follow instructions like a gremlin.
Can we make a motion to say net on an ongoing basis?
Net.
So
and then-
Pooba can't name himself. Can I at least give this Pooba
course.
story?
Oh,
before we
yeah.
close
And
the
we're all
roster?
going to chime in. So go
Absolutely,
ahead.
Senator. Yeah.
So Pooba, we went through a few names that we were considering. I was actually a fan of the mayor at first, but I think the two
I think the
achieved the
mayor's
same
was a
thing.
good
So
one.
the Pooba is meant to be the Grand Pooba.
Grand Pooba.
Pooba.
Right.
Pooba has a larger than life personality. He's the most fun guy in the room. We go anywhere in the area we live, and everybody knows Pooba. We walk in, we sit down, someone comes over.
Oh, Pooba.
Pooba, hey, haven't seen you in a while. Pooba, just saw you on the golf course. How's the family? He knows everybody. Everybody. It doesn't matter if they're running the security detail for the New York Yankees or if they own 10 restaurants in the area we live. He knows everybody, and it was only fitting to call the most legendary of lizards the Pooba.
It's a name of honor.
I have called him Mr. Pooba from time to time.
Flattering.
Sir Pooba. Sir
I just call him.
Sir Pooba.
I just call him.
I like
Pooh.
that better.
It's
He's been knighted.
a lot of nights out.
I'm sure that had something to do.
And then Rooster, of course. Rooster is the elder statesman. He's the oldest of the bunch, probably behind me and Bam, and or ahead of me and Bam, and
Not by much.
not by much, but he's a he's the so I think Rooster comes from like he's a sage. He's a sage.
He is.
He's the sage. He's the red rooster. He's from India, so red rooster. He's just the red rooster.
More brown.
More brown. Okay, fine, whatever. But you get the idea. It's a shade of it's whatever.
Yeah,
but
It's a reddish brown like a Cuban wrapper.
Rooster's comments level us.
Is that Maduro? Is that Maduro? All right.
I think Bam is exactly right.
There's a leveling in his commentary, and it's
Seniority.
a lot of it's based in. I'm not going to call it a religion, but it's a belief. And it resonates from him, and it does affect us in a very positive way.
I agree. I think there's a
Without a
wisdom. There's a wisdom
Very
about
good.
Rooster.
Very good
I mean,
senator.
Rooster's
Yes.
a guy who shares,
Right.
inspiration and
Absolutely.
quotes, and
Right.
is always glass half full. And there's
Exactly.
just something about him that I feel like is
There's a
really-
presence. There's a presence that the Red Rooster
Exactly.
Exudes in any situation,
And we
He's
love
the elder
we
statesman.
love that.
And-
about
and
him.
Very
that-
high praise.
We
and
love
it's-
that about
A
you.
lot of
Rooster.
positive energy.
Well, right,
for sure.
and also he's the guy who if you're going to pick up the phone and call somebody, or if you're not feeling well, the first person to pick up the phone to call and see how you're doing is always the Rooster.
Just
Absolutely.
don't ever cut him off in
Absolutely.
traffic.
Right, but that's also true too. See, like a rooster will
There's
like
another
attack
side.
and bite. He will do that too. Like
There's
he
another
pisses
side.
off
He's
a
got
rooster.
claws.
He's got claws. He's got claws.
You don't fuck with the rooster.
the other thing I'll say about the Rooster, if and I think this comes with being the elder statesman and the wisdom that Rooster has. If you need thoughts on power tools, if you need thoughts on snowblowers, just
And
about
speakers,
anything,
and speakers.
Rooster is very prescriptive about
Yes.
what is an acceptable brand and product to purchase and what is
Sounds-
not.
it's
He's like a
experience.
walking consumer report.
Sound systems, no doubt.
Most
yeah.
of the things that he recommends can be found at Costco. Let's be clear.
And also
Big
the
Costco guy.
self-professed longest tenured smoker of the Exclusivo. Self-professed.
Longest tenured, I'm willing to concede that. That is
Yeah.
true.
If
think
I
we
if
can
I were to sum up,
Quantity,
acknowledge that.
I have him beat, but longest tenured, I will concede.
There you go.
if I were to sum up Rooster in a sentence, it would be, "What's mine is yours," and I mean that from a
Always.
generosity standpoint.
Always.
And what's yours is mine.
And whenever he acquires, and he is a master of acquiring aged Habanos. It's incredible. And when he gets a box, he's not a guy that keeps it a secret. He throws it in his humidor, keeps it to himself. He walks in the room and he starts handing out cigars. So
Cigars are to be shared.
very generous, very kind.
Yes.
But don't piss him
and
off.
the Rooster philosophy to be smoked immediately.
Right.
Yeah.
Regardless
like
of
I
age.
said earlier, cigars are meant to be smoked.
Yeah, and shared.
And shared.
And shared.
shared.
And shared.
So
yeah, he goes ROTT right off the truck.
That's right.
Well, I came late to the pod today, and these guys were the lizards had been smoking one of the nice selections that Rooster had recently procured,
And shared.
and we were about to light up the Exclusivo, and Rooster walks over. He's asking me about my family and my wife, and I haven't seen Rooster in a couple weeks, and he went out of his way to see how I'm doing, and then he pops open his box of cigars, says, "Here, this is what we've been smoking. I want you to try this." And I'll probably smoke it later, but I didn't even get to enjoy it with him. But he still was generous enough to say, "I want you to have this." And
Absolutely.
let's revisit the origin of Grinder's famous Petrichor flavor note.
I mean, would you guys say this is one of the best Montes we have had?
Oh, hands
doubt.
down.
Absolutely.
Right?
Hands down. I've only had the Monty 2, though. You have
No.
smoked. Oh, come
You
on.
you actually bought and Rooster did the Monty 85th.
Ah,
That special
thank you.
anniversary cigar. So
Right.
you have had.
Right. That's a very light, creamy, very elegant
Delicious
stick.
smoke
Yeah,
as
it's,
well.
it's delicious, but in a different way. It's much milder than this.
It
now,
is.
this is not, I don't consider this to be a full cigar for me, but from the point of view of the flavor profile, it's almost all flavor.
is anyone else getting? I'm
Sawdust.
about an inch through now. Is anyone else getting like earthy petrichor like after
What's petrichor?
No.
petrichor.
What-
Petrichor is that scent that's like after a rain and then the sun comes out and like there's like a there's certain oils that come up from the earth and
Like petroleum?
coalesce and it's a scent. There's like look it up. I'm not fucking crazy. It's a real thing. It's like after rain scent, like after a quick storm outside.
Your palate is way too refined for us, man.
You need to leave. Cocoa all the way here.
English is a second language for me. Oh my
Cocoa.
lord!
I
But
just
it's
have
good.
to say,
good for my
A lot of
vocab.
petrichor.
The guys think I'm a Grinch. Here's a clip from our New Year's Eve episode 1 year ago with my hot take on Christmas trees.
I personally think that Gizmo should stop burning down Christmas trees in Midtown. That's what I think. I think that I think that you should have a more positive outlook on the Christmas tree. I believe that you have.
You're framing this unfairly.
No, you have a problem.
All right, the Lizards and I got into a little bit of a heated Christmas battle in the last few weeks, namely this last weekend as I was teeing off about the Christmas tree situation in my home and how if it were up to me, we wouldn't have a Christmas tree. And not because I hate Christmas trees, but because I just don't need the aggravation.
Right. So for the listener, please don't stop listening at this point. Everyone in the room besides Gizmo loves Christmas trees, and we love everything about Christmas. So
And the presents below.
So why did you burn down the Christmas tree in the middle of Midtown outside the Fox News building yesterday?
It was in my way. It was inconvenient for my traffic needs.
By the way, we're not incriminating Gizmo here. He did not burn down. We don't want any listeners, right?
well, we can neither confirm nor deny, but
No absolutes. The Don Carlos Eye of the Shark was one of the best cigars we smoked all year. And Lizard Bill, a listener of ours, said this was one of his favorite cigars that we've recommended.
Cuba, I mean, obviously, we're not ever going to suggest that this is like a Cuban, but there are certain elements of it, these sort of shortbread flavors, dessert-like flavors you get out of this, that's the kind of thing that reminds me of things that you would get out of like an Upman Cuban.
I was just about to say that. It's exactly what, like, it reminds me of some of the qualities you get out of an aged Upman 2 or like, and you're just, it gives you that really wonderful thing that you need sometimes, which is kind of these baking spices, a little bit of citrus, a little bit of it's delicious. It makes the hairs in the back of my neck stand up. I'm not trying to sound like a loser.
No, it's true.
But this is a great fucking cigar.
It tastes like a Lorna Doone. It's like a Lorna, if there was a Lorna Doone cookie cigar.
It's a great cigar.
To me, it just, when I smoke this cigar, time just slows down a little bit. Like it really demands your appreciation and your time.
It takes time to smoke the cigar. Yeah.
It's yeah. You take your time. I don't rush it. It's great.
We're coming to the end of the Don Carlos Eye of the Shark here. I still haven't ashed. Senator still hasn't ashed. Bam Bam still hasn't ashed.
Grinder is ash.
He ashed all over himself.
Accidentally ashed on myself.
I can still see it on his cheek.
I'm waiting.
He's waiting. Like he's giving me the eye. Like, hey, dude.
I need to go. I need to stand up, walk outside, and de-ash myself.
Yeah. He ashed all over himself like he does every night.
Oh,
or every morning.
You just got shanked.
Yeah, I'm gonna give you the pagoda stick today.
We gotta rate
the stick. I mean, I gotta give it to you, Rooster. Go.
All right. So this is going to be an aggregate rating from all the sharks that I've had. It's a 10.
It's a 10 for me.
It's a 10.
It's a 10 for me too.
It's a 10.
It's a 10 for me. Not even close.
It's a 10.
I just have to say, this episode means a lot to me because I love this cigar so much, and I was fully prepared. And I can't believe, again, I haven't ashed them all the way down to the end. I was going to give this a 10. I thought I would be the only lizard in this room that gave it a 10. This warms my heart like words can't describe.
The ratings are not done yet.
Pagoda?
Pagoda may not be strong enough for him.
No, he's a
Strong 9.
See,
All right.
Not strong enough for him.
That's
okay. All right. I'm a 10.
10.
That's a 10.13. Or sorry, 9.13.
He wasn't kidding again.
9.13.
He wasn't kidding.
It's
What
gonna
is
be
it?
9.8.
It's a 9.9.
Wow.
It's only 1
So that is
Wow.
that is not even close. It's not even close. That's the highest rating that we've ever given on this podcast so far.
Yeah.
All right.
Not even close.
I need to de-ash
Unreal.
myself.
You know,
Please email us if you need any
Can
boxes.
I watch?
Puba just compared the Shark to the Cuban H. Upman number 2, one of the best cigars we smoked all year on episode 40. I have really enjoyed this cigar tonight.
I mean, I don't want this to end.
I know.
I mean, it's so good, right?
It's unbelievable.
what's
Really
funny
good.
is now I'm still getting the salty twang, and I'm getting a little coffee now.
Yeah, like all those rough edges. I mean, I'm not selling
I
it.
haven't
I'm
had
just
a
saying,
rough edge. There's no fucking rough
There's no
edges.
rough edges down the
No.
stretch, right? You smoke
Yeah.
it to the end, and it's just
I
beautiful.
want to see you smoke it to the end.
It is. I mean, it's done.
You?
It's-
My man, look at that. Now
Wow.
that
when do I finish
Wow.
first?
Never.
Puba
Never.
finishing first.
Never.
Well,
Wow.
because this is my jam.
All right. I'd like to see that.
Really good stick, and thank you for bringing it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you for
Unbelievable. Really appreciate it.
Rooster. Thank you, everybody, all the lizards. Your generosity. Everyone comes into boxes. Everyone has great sticks in this room. And when this stick came up, I said, what should I? How can you hold these back? And I think part of cigar smoking that I think is important. And there's more ROI. I would just say to the listener out there, there's more ROI in sharing cigars, particularly special cigars. It's celebratory. If you smoke them in a vacuum, yeah, you'll enjoy it and it'll be nice. But you get much more ROI when you share special cigars with special people. I recommend everybody do that. And I think most people do who are in this hobby.
Absolutely. Well said.
It's just, it makes it that much better.
So you guys ready to do the formal lizard rating on this thing?
Yeah.
Rooster, you're up.
I saw 2 eyebrow raises from Rooster before he could even utter a word.
I mean, it's hard because this is the best Upman I've had. I mean, this is better than the young Sir Winston that we had.
Yeah.
But this, I mean, it's phenomenal steak. I'm gonna give it a 10.
Awesome.
Wow.
Whoa.
Wow.
I love it.
Wow.
I love this steak.
Puba.
Really.
Yeah, I mean, I love it. It's a 10 for me.
I knew
It delivers there on everything that it's supposed to deliver
I mean,
on. I
it's
can't knock
balanced.
it on anything.
it's incredible.
Balanced, complex, smooth. everything.
I knew an inch in that this was a 10 for me, and if I could give it 11, I would. I love this cigar. Senator.
He's a 9.
This is tough. This is tough. And this is a good decision to make because it's a 9 or a 10. There's
Right.
It's
That's
not even
exactly
a
right.
thought in my
Yeah.
mind that it's anything lower
Exactly
than
right.
that.
Yeah.
And what's where I'm leaning closer to 10 when Puba said it delivers on everything it's supposed to deliver on. I can't find a flaw in this cigar. The only reason I hold back a little bit on the 10 is because there are still other sticks that the flavor profile, right? So this delivers what it's intended to deliver, gets me more where like I have to have it like all the time. I want these. There's no doubt about that. I have 2 boxes of these. I just don't know that I want it every single day in the way that I'm like obsessed with like, certain D4s or even other sticks. So I am gonna give this
Before you give that rating, I just want to say
He's advocating.
Oh boy.
No, I mean, I'm just making.
No,
a
help
point.
me out. This is good.
I'm just making a point that this Upman steak with this box code rated just based upon this steak, not the boxes that you have. This is a 2014 LUB box code.
We have
which I think
salesmanship
it's a
going on
very,
here.
Very elite box code, and
You should be a lobbyist.
I mean, not
They are unicorns.
Senator
And
can school you on that, but
absolutely. I can learn a lot from senators. So.
actually
That's all I have to say.
No, Rooster's commentary there was actually very helpful because he's right. And I'm going to have to round up I'm
right.
going to give it a 10.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
Very nice. Pagoda,
Wow.
you're up.
Oh my lord! Now this puts a lot of pressure on me.
I
Be
think-
honest.
Be
No
honest.
pressure.
But being very honest,
Yeah,
thank
honest.
you, Puba, for introducing me to the H. Upman 2. This is my first Upman 2. Really, really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed the second half more than, how it gradually just grew into something I really, really enjoyed. The way I look at it is, it's a 9 for me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bam Bam.
So I don't give in to peer pressure ever, and I don't like to always go with the crowd. None of that has any meaning for me. So when I really love something, I'm very brutally honest, for the good or for the bad, regardless of what people think. I am going to give this a 10.
All right.
This is a 10 for me.
Well, boys,
It's a high fucking score.
the composite lizard score
9.7.
on Puba's.
It's got to be the highest rated cigar.
14. Upman 2's.
Puba's a great roller.
9.8.
That's fucking crazy.
I think that's the highest score yet.
Yeah.
Just quickly on this, Rooster's commentary was really helpful for me because
Agreed.
if I were to review the 2018 Upman 2, I'd give it a 9.
Yeah.
And I think Rooster's point was really helpful in me figuring out where this really sits. And it's the age and what that brings that Puba described. And I think like that creaminess and how it just married all those flavors together, regardless if I'm going to be so obsessed with this cigar, I'm going to need to have it every day, every week. It's a 10. It really, like you said, it delivers on everything it's supposed to. I can't take issue with it.
Another cigar that we really love from H. Upman is the Half Corona, which we also discussed on episode 40, being introduced to it in Puba's backyard, which then takes us to Bam Bam and his hoarding. And then, we talked about one of our favorite cigars collectively. I know a lot of us smoke it at the end of a smoking session is the Half Corona.
Oh, dude.
I mean,
Love
dude.
those.
I mean,
I
all of
will-
us and
I can-
everybody.
We can never get enough of those.
I will never forget when we
Never
put
get
those
enough.
up together. We were at Puba's house. We, let's just say, enjoyed ourselves quite a bit.
One of those summer nights.
And it's the very end of the night. This was it was
It
ridiculous.
was at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah,
It
it
was
was
like
like 2 or
2:40. It was
At this point-
2:48. Actually,
At this point, it's like 2-something in the morning.
I think there were only 3 of us left that night.
There was. It was me, Bam, and Puba, I think, at that point.
That's
Yeah.
right.
And I think Pagoda had left.
Giz got
And-
mad at us that day.
He did. He wasn't there.
Bastards.
Well, for many other reasons.
I must have gone to bed because I'm extra old.
You were taking a nap.
I'm saying that.
But I needed just like a small little stick. And in that same auction that I had bought the Upman Anahados, I had gotten these little half Coronas. None of us had it at that point because I had asked if anyone knew if they were good. No one had ever tried them.
So from our guy down south, I bought because go ahead after your story because of your story.
Oh yeah,
Oh, my
and I
God.
have a bone to pick. So let's get there,
Dude,
Let's get there.
I couldn't help myself.
So I light this stick up, and I'm sitting there gushing about how good this cigar. I mean, this thing is so small. I couldn't believe the flavor out of this little Cuban cigar, and I'm just sitting there. The only thing you can question at that point is like I've had plenty to drink. Either it's the alcohol that I think this cigar is that good, or it's really that good. And maybe I had one extra with me, and I think I gave it to Bam that night.
Yes, you did.
And Bam had the exact same reaction. Holy shit, this is one of the best short smokes I've ever had. Now, the problem with me sharing that cigar with Bam was that he went to the same source I bought them from, and he cleared them out, and they were sold out. So when I messaged the guy, he said, someone just bought all of them, and I wonder who that was.
That's
It was
correct.
Bam.
fair,
And
to
by
be
the
fair.
way, it's inappropriate and not all is fair in love and cigars.
Well,
So
No, but to be fair,
it's
he
not.
did
It's
share
not.
them.
He
did
did.
share them.
Of course, he shared them, but still,
That's
mean,
kind of
you know.
rare, rare to share. But he did share those.
yeah, the sniper, stop sniping, or whatever the little cartoon character
I've
is.
learned my lesson.
No, I remember. No, thank you, Bam, for introducing me to that. I remember that night we were once again at the bar up north, and it was just fantastic. And it's actually become one of my favorite.
Yeah, you smoke a lot of those.
Yeah, like end of night smokes. There's nothing better. Maybe there are a couple of others which are, a few percentages below, but that is fantastic.
Great steak. Bam's had a cigar tower for himself for a few months and still hasn't set it up. Here's a clip where we discuss that he's cursed Cuban pricing.
3 left.
Boxes?
Yeah. No.
I mean, since you got your tower now, let's talk about that.
Yeah, and it's nice.
How
and
happy
empty.
are you?
How's the tower?
I'm very fucking unhappy right now.
Is it still in the garage?
It's still in the garage. I have no enthusiasm to season that thing. Not yet.
Why?
Why?
I
All you
don't
have
know.
to do. Okay. Jesus.
No.
Christ.
Listen.
Here we go.
Let's get into this.
After
Here we
8
go.
months of this shit,
I've got huge bins of boxes of cigars. Now, my anticipation when I first ordered this thing, it was at a 10. It took 8 months to get to me. I'm at like a 3 now.
Why? But it's here now.
All right. So let me just clarify.
It's kind of like dating. Like you dated this chick for like 8
Yeah,
years.
she's
and
an old
now-
hag now.
And now you don't. so you're like me with women.
That's a joke.
They should,
That's a joke.
it should be like a lease, 3 years, buyback option.
That's true. That's true.
Too much mileage. No thanks.
So here's the thing.
Give it back.
So I will be seasoning that thing this weekend. I made a promise to myself to get that.
The beauty of it, the seasoning process is so simple.
I know.
All you have to do is just
know.
like wipe it down with a sponge and
I know.
still water.
A little salt and
just
pepper.
Put the Oasis in there with the still
Yes.
water. That's it.
Little
That's all you
paprika.
got to do.
I've got to uncard it, get it downstairs. That's an effort, and then I'll start to do that. It'll happen.
and then now,
Then it'll be
Now
2025.
Now that I'm paying $1,000 a box for cigars,
Yeah.
my inventory is going to stay where it is for a while.
Yeah, but you said you have them in a bin, in a Tupperware.
Yeah,
You
so
have
I-
boxes there already.
Yeah,
so
I
don't
have-
you want to get them out and put
I
them
do.
nicely
get a
displayed?
little
do.
air movement.
Yeah. Do you
Yeah.
want to look at them?
I
mean,
do.
it's
I'm
just-
dying to look at them. Yes.
I think Bam Bam, this is embarrassing.
Here's my question for you, and I know that I'm a little superstitious with it, but I feel like the moment you got your tower,
Well,
the prices went
Right.
through the roof.
Yeah.
exactly.
That was my immediate reaction. As soon as that happened, I was like, he cursed us.
You cursed us
I'm going to fill that tower with Philly blunts and be very proud.
and cigarettes. Listener Lizard Bill also asked us to include the clip of Bam balking on sharing a box of cigars with Pagoda, and said that if he was in his friend group, he'd be out very quickly. So are you going to source a box or two of these? Like,
Oh, I would love a box or two for my tower.
yeah.
Well, when you ask him that question, you
Are you
mean
gonna-
that you're
Do you
gonna
want me
source
to get
them
you a box?
for him.
Will you share or will you feel the peer pressure too?
Yes and no.
Oh,
We got to tell
we
this
gotta
story.
tell the story. So we
What?
have a little drama among the group.
Lizard
So
drama.
I had ordered a couple boxes of Ramon Ionis small club Coronas, and Bam said that he wanted a whole box. So I said, fine, he can have a whole box. And the other box we split among 4 of us. Pagoda wasn't here the day that I placed the order, and I was asking who wanted in on it. So when I got them in and I sent the message to the group that they had arrived, Pagoda said, "Oh, if I could have 5, I would love to have 5 of them." And I said to Pagoda, "I only got 5 out of the whole box. Like that's what we all split it, so we each got 5 sticks. But Bam has 25 of them, so I would assume that he could part with 5."
I'm not looking at you now.
And Bam's
I'm
response,
looking over here.
Bam's response was not enthusiastic
saying?
to share.
We should
That's
get
not
more.
true.
His response
No.
was, well, "These are great. We should get more of them."
Honestly. All right. So
That's not
Listen.
saying yes, Pagoda. I'm happy to share with
it
you.
also wasn't saying no. It was expressing enthusiasm about that cigar. That's
Well,
really, I love that little guy.
The proof's in the pudding because you arrived here today. And
I feel hurt.
Before we have all witnesses, before the microphones went on, Pagoda said, "Oh, are you going to share the 5 sticks with me?"
I said you can have 10.
And Bam said, I'm not excited to share any of the sticks with you.
I feel the peer pressure.
He said, I felt the peer pressure to share them with you.
That was a joke.
I'm hurt.
You'll get over it. When I deliver 5 beauties to you, I'm sure you'll get over it.
Who knows when that'll be? But
At the clubhouse. Transactions will be made.
I think to make up for this, you should source the next box for the group.
I will. You know, I will do that.
I'm only going to live for the next 30 years.
So here's
I'm 55.
this is all right. This is all fair.
I mean, the tower might still be in his garage.
Yeah. It's all fair. This is so for the listener. This is very fair. I am very lazy when it comes to making purchases.
We
and
didn't
buying,
say that.
Buying and sourcing. I am. But I aim to change that. I aim to change that. Yes.
You picked a good time to do it.
Yeah. Well, I know. Well,
Yeah, we hear band and receiver.
So wait a minute.
When
So
in Rome, you
does
gotta-
this mean that Giz does not have to get any more boxes for you?
no. I
Doesn't
just,
have to source any more.
No, that does not mean that.
That's what it means. That means
What
you're gonna do the homework.
Rooster.
You're gonna source the boxes.
Rooster, you got to leave.
Guess I hope
I'm
you don't
try-
feel the
what
peer
I'm-
pressure.
what-
That's all I'm saying.
It does not mean that Rooster stops sourcing, but what it means, I've got to step up my sourcing game, and I aim to do that
When?
this week.
Starting tomorrow?
this weekend.
In the near future.
Yeah, for sure.
This is the
and
best.
how
No,
are you?
honestly, I got to be honest. I'm not as. You're much better sourcers than I am.
No.
Like, yes, you are. You are.
You can achieve that same.
Let's be real. Hang on.
No,
How
it's
many
true.
boxes did you on your own order from one of our groups that we order cigars from?
Okay, so now this was
to
my
fill
very,
those Tupperwares.
Yes,
that
now
you
this
have.
is the very first time I was given access to this exclusive group, and I was like a kid in a candy store. These guys were so friendly, professional.
I know we
I
really
was blown
stopped
away.
you. We
And
really
so-
stopped you for a
and
number of
so-
years
Well,
from joining.
well, it did stop
like,
because
no,
here's the thing.
no,
I
you
realized I didn't have a tower. I'm in Tupperware. It didn't make sense to continue buying, so I just put a hiatus on it. Now that the tower's here.
You did a lot of good buying for yourself, man.
Well, you guys have everything I have in spades, and you know it.
Well,
I
I
love
didn't
it.
have a La Punta until you had.
And what's
gave
your
us that,
cigar
but
rating,
I
Rooster?
regretted that.
Listen, just as a reminder, though, Rooster only has 30 years left.
Okay.
Okay, just
well, give or take. Mostly take, hopefully.
You got it.
speaking of Pagoda, unfortunately, we have to include this clip of some car trouble that he encountered that we discussed in episode 36. And she took her hands off the wheel and the car parked itself.
Is it a Tesla?
I don't know what it was. I wasn't paying attention. I was just admiring the fact that her hands were not on the wheel. And you know who I thought of when I saw this car?
Senator.
No.
I thought of Pagoda.
Oh.
Because Pagoda had
Have
a
you
little,
heard this yet?
little incident this week.
I haven't heard. Oh, what
So
happened?
Pagoda, or actually, Rooster, tell us what happened. You were there.
Well, where do I begin? So this was a night after, after the lounge. You were all there. So me, Pagoda, a couple other guys, we went to our favorite Indian restaurant. And we got there before Pagoda and one other guy. So we're sitting down at the table. The owner of the restaurant had a table set up for us outside, really nice laid out. It was a little late. So we're sitting there, and then we see Pagoda pull up in his truck, and then all of a sudden we hear a loud bang.
No way.
A loud bang.
Uh-oh.
He backed up into the pole.
On the sidewalk. The
On
pole
the
is
sidewalk.
on the
It's
sidewalk.
an electric or maybe a phone pole. And I think he hit the wrong pedal.
He's excited. He's going to see you guys.
So he put it in reverse, and I think he hit the accelerator.
Oh, my gosh.
So quite a bit of
They are right next to
damage.
each other. To get to his, let's be fair. The gas and the brake are very close to each other on the floor.
Yeah, but in Pagoda's defense, he grew up driving a clutch car,
Cushman.
like a 3-pedal. So you can just imagine like how much more confusing that would be.
It's
when
true.
you-
So when it
three
was
pedals,
easier with only 2 pedals, it makes perfect sense.
he needs a car with just no pedals.
I think I need a Tesla.
He needs a driver.
He needs a driver.
I told you, I just love the
Wow.
visual of him sitting in his car after he did this and going, "Oh my Lord."
But you know what? I mean, nobody got injured.
I want
A
to
little
hear
bit of
Mrs.
damage, little damage to
Mrs.
the
Pagoda,
car.
does she have
so
anything to
he
say?
got home, and in the morning he told his wife, "He's like, what did you do to my car?"
So Pagoda, talk to us about, give us the insight from inside the vehicle.
I don't know it happened so quick. I just saw a man in a turban screaming at me outside the window, and I couldn't hear him at all. And I was like, "What?" I was a bit startled.
It was loud.
It was my first accident.
No way. Really?
I've
Ever?
taken it, yeah. Ever.
Wow.
So he
pretty
is,
good
he is
track
a very
record.
good driver.
He just got his license last month.
Hey, don't tell the truth. You don't need to disclose that to everybody.
But he's been driving for 25 years.
Yeah, just illegally.
Listen, I'm used to drivers driving us around. This
Hello.
is difficult. Oh, why?
This is difficult.
I'm just not a DIY kind of guy. You know.
You're more a DUI kind of guy.
Oh man. Oh, somebody's getting shanked.
Hey, it's about time.
It's about time.
I think the pagoda title has to be just shifted. It's got to be whoever's shanking goes to them.
Oh man.
It's all
Yeah,
good.
but
No,
it happened really quickly, and I was kind of I just didn't know what to do, and the car just really stopped because all these new cars apparently it rested for 2 minutes, and I couldn't even move. I guess I
stick
call it.
shift.
Yeah, don't confuse me here again. But but
The stick.
it was kind of really embarrassing. But it is what it is.
The Scotch pounding continued after that.
Of course it
Yes,
did.
absolutely.
Here, just to calm my nerves down, please.
Please.
Well, we're glad everybody's all right. You didn't kill Ricky. I heard he was close to getting the.
Yeah, I don't think he would have felt anything.
Was this right in front of your table?
Right in front.
They're
Oh
sitting
my God.
outside.
It was where,
I wish I was there.
on the sidewalk. I mean, how much room is there between the sidewalk and the road?
No, but Bam Bam,
that's-
that's why I don't think we texted you after that because I think we all were just
In shock.
in shock.
Let's turn it around for Pagoda now with a clip from his impromptu birthday celebration from the Partagas Collabra episode number 14. We love some sabered champagne. I don't know what else to compare this to. Is
tastes
it a
little bit more
P2?
like an MDO. Doesn't it like an LGC MDO number 4?
Not the anise finish? No.
To
know.
me, this
Sweetness.
tastes all like all Partagas. It just tastes like a concentrated aged Partagas with the smaller ring gauge.
It's beautiful.
That's all those characteristics are there.
This would go
It's
really
sweeter
well,
though. Sweeter notes, I thought.
Go well with champagne.
Yeah.
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 Right?
Yeah, sure.
Little Paul Roger.
Senator. Where's your
Where's the
case?
saber?
Pop a bottle.
Where's the
It
saber?
would go great with champagne.
I'm just saying this all the time now.
I'm just saying.
Like,
I'm
hey,
just,
hey,
I'm,
Senator.
I'm just saying, Senator. It
Go
would go
really
great
well with some champagne.
Just saying, it would go
All right.
great with champagne.
All right.
This
If
is
you
great.
have
I
champagne.
We're gonna have to take a quick timeout. We'll be right back after these messages.
Oh my God. No, he's not.
He is.
He's
Are
doing
you
it.
serious?
Do it.
I love it. I love it.
Don't hit Pagoda in the fucking. Don't chop his head off. In the process.
Okay, we're back.
Happy birthday.
We have a bottle of Paul Roger. Senator is ready with his saber in honor of Pagoda's birthday tomorrow.
Thank you, guys.
And this is very exciting.
Before I savor this just goes back to our earlier discussions. Champagne pairs fantastically with cigars. We did not intend to pair this cigar with champagne, but I think we all took a few puffs and know what we needed. So, quick trip down to the cellar. Happy birthday, Pagoda. Let's do
Happy
it.
birthday,
All right.
Happy birthday.
Let's do this.
Thank you, Senator. Thank you, everybody. Yeah.
Oh, it's perfect every time.
Perfect every time.
Wow.
Beautiful.
Wow.
Happy birthday, Pagoda.
Fantastic.
Sabered it right off.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Look at that.
Well done, Senator.
Well, this night is not going the way that I expected. Let's
This
put it
is
that way.
beautiful. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Senator.
Wow,
This is
fantastic.
This
You
is
like
great.
that?
I like it.
You like that?
Wow. Thank you, sir. Another well done sabering there, Senator.
You know what the best part is? Oh yeah. I was withholding like excessive enjoyment of the cigar while Senator was
Oh, yes.
gathering the accoutrement for the sabering.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
God.
I lit it up and it's just amazing.
Oh,
All right, we got to do a cheers. I got
Cheers.
scolded
Cheers.
last time.
Indeed, we do.
Hold on. Let's wait till Senator's done pouring.
Grazie.
excellent.
This is so exciting. All right.
It's so good when it hits your lips. Cheers to Pagoda.
Cheers.
To Pagoda.
Cheers.
Happy
Pagoda.
birthday.
Ah, cheers. Thank
Very
you, guys.
exciting.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. Yeah.
And to an epic lizard night.
An epic
Cheers,
night.
boys.
Cheers.
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 Wait till
Thank you, Senator.
Senor
for taking
Senator.
this.
Senator, thank you.
Senator,
Enjoy.
thank
Cheers.
you.
Cheers, boys.
Thank you for the
Cheers.
champagne.
Cheers.
Love you guys. Cheers.
Paul Roger.
Paul Roger and Apartacus. Is there any better combo?
Oh my God.
All right, let's
PRP.
It goes
all right,
perfect with this thing.
let's try it with the cigar now.
Oh,
Whoever suggested this, who was it?
Puba.
I think it was Rooster, actually.
Oh, maybe, yeah.
Yeah, I think it was
Rooster.
Rooster that
This,
suggested the
this is
champagne.
a great suggestion.
go
As,
great
as
with
you
champagne.
see, you don't have to twist my arm for champagne.
Not only did Senator introduce us to champagne this year, he also shared his love of great wine and how it pairs with cigars in episode 8. Speaking of vaults, I mean, we're busting Rooster's balls, but Senator has quite a collection of wine in his cellar.
I do love wine.
He's a wine guy.
So how many bottles of wine do you think you? Okay, let's go first. How many bottles of wine do you buy a week?
I usually, for a while now, I've now slowed down because I had a storage issue where I was running out of places for it. I had to clear out a storage closet in my basement and make that into essentially a cellar to just have the reserve space to store a lot more. But for a while, every weekend I was buying a case, so a case a week.
Wow. And was your quantity level?
I mean, I consume a lot.
I was just gonna. That's where I'm going.
Do you drink it in the shower?
Well, not in the shower like Puba, but to your point, it was so funny. I feel like a colleague of mine had heard I'm a big wine guy and was asking me like, "Oh, I hear you have a really big wine collection." I said, "Well, I'm not sure how much I would call it a collection because wine doesn't last very long in my house. I buy a lot of wine, but we also consume a lot of wine, so." I'm sort of, I guess, like Rooster in that, cigars are meant to be consumed. They're meant to be smoked. And
Absolutely.
I feel the same way about wine. There are very, very few bottles of wine that are going to last more than a few years in my cellar. Some maybe I've left for 5 or more years, but the vast majority, they're there to drink and share when, we're hosting dinner parties or stuff like that.
I mean, you're not buying like Bordeaux's and stuff and storing them, letting them sit for a while.
No, I'm not a huge Bordeaux guy, believe it or not. I mean, I actually like a lot of New World wine. So like I'm a big California, Napa Cab guy. I would say probably the wine I enjoy least is Italian wine. I've really tried to make an effort to get into Italian wine. I found one Chianti, a Reserva that I really liked that shockingly did extremely well one year in Wine Spectator. And I got a case or two of that I'm still holding. But for the most part, outside of New World wine, there are a lot of good French wines. Just I'm not all in on Bordeaux because some of them can be so just bone dry that I just don't really love the flavor in that. I mean, Oregon's got some great wine now. There's so many good wines.
A lot of Pinots out of Oregon, right?
A lot. That's exactly right. I mean, the Willamette Valley in Oregon it makes some of the best Pinot in the world.
Would you consider that as like a side hustle? Become a sommelier?
I was just thinking
So
that.
I always joke. I've said this to my wife, and I think she's on board with this because I remember the first year we went out to Napa. I was so excited as a wine person to go out and spend a lot of time in Napa. My wife, she likes drinking wine, but I at the time at least didn't appreciate wine the same way I did. And we left that trip, and her first question was, "Can we retire out here? This is amazing." She loved it, and so I've always half jokingly, but I'm actually pretty serious at this point. I would love to retire someday and actually try to become like a master som.
Nice.
I would have
That's cool.
so much fun.
Well, you have the cigar element covered
That's right.
Yeah, you do.
because that is part of the exam. I think. Am I wrong? I think it is.
I don't know that it's part of the exam,
I
but
think they
either
have
way,
to.
I mean,
They have to to understand different different origins of cigars. Yeah, I think
I
so.
don't know. I didn't see that. But to your point about that, I mean, to appreciate cigars and review them in the way they do, your palate's gotta be able to pick out those flavor notes and things like that. And we've done blind tastings on this podcast, and it's hard to guess. And when you're a master som, I mean, you've got to pick out the region,
Right?
the
grape,
grape,
the region.
the year.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so difficult, but that's what makes it really fun. When you drink enough of it, just like when you smoke enough cigars, you're able to pick a lot of that out.
The guys had some wild fun at my expense this year. Enjoy Puba's rant on my salad after effects, the roast of my night with Chivas, and a visit from Bill O'Reilly.
Is Puba subdued today? Got to get you up.
What do you want? You want me to?
I need
be
some
more-
Just
anime.
came
I need
back
the
from Florida.
I need the animated.
Came
poop.
back
Before
to
we
the New
came on
Jersey
air, he was
cold.
teeing off on me, and then as soon as I clicked record, he
Oh,
Turned into
Oh,
the
yeah.
Well, no,
he's
I-
Professor Pooba now.
well, I mean, I think that your belching is a problem.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So so Gizmo, our esteemed, illustrious producer, who has so many redeeming qualities, has some qualities that we could call them. I don't know.
Deplorable?
How would you characterize them? Just slightly quirky. He eats salads while driving,
actually, I
which
think-
is so odd. I mean, I've never eaten a salad.
the
while,
fuck does
he
that?
He told me the other day. Oh yeah, he belched last session we recorded.
well, I try to get it
And
out
I
before
said,
we go
and
on
I,
air.
and I mentioned something. What's going? Like, what did you eat? Like because I'm detecting
Can I
something
refer
in the
you
air.
to a medical doctor?
Right, like the belching. Because he doesn't cover his mouth. He doesn't like do the thing where he chokes the belch. He just belches it out, and he goes, oh, I ate a salad in the car. I
Like,
do.
what?
go, wait, you ate a salad in the car? I mean, think about trying to do that and drive. It's not like a Crunch Wrap Supreme.
I have two hands and a
where you
fork.
could just-
Gizmo's defense here.
Yeah.
He does drink a lot of seltzer.
I drink a lot of seltzer.
I mean,
does.
he pounds
Too
like
much.
a gallon of seltzer
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, a lot.
every hour.
Yeah, like I'll drink like 6 of these. What are they? I don't know if they're liters. What are these?
Until
See there, you have a whole. See there, it is
1 liter. I drink about 5 or 6 of these
Yeah.
liters a day.
Wow.
Like, just move to like mineral water, like
I'm good.
Pellegrino. It's less bubbles. You don't burp as much.
I try to get it out before we come on air. I'm trying to be considerate to the listener. I mean, you guys are you take the brunt of that.
No, I understand.
That
And I'm
might-
fine with it. I mean, we're friends. It's okay.
well, and to that point, why farted and wasted when you can burp it and taste it?
What?
Where did that come from?
Pagoda.
Pagoda strikes again.
Oh yeah. I think he just struck at the entire group.
Oh my god. It definitely
Yeah,
does.
I
I think
think
that's
it's-
probably just for being in the dress box.
Dress box.
I like that.
Yeah. But we've talked about that before. That often causes that tightness in the draw that shouldn't be there. Construction.
Oh, sorry.
What is going on?
Pagoda just said fuck
Pagoda.
it. Started lighting
He
up.
did say fuck it.
I'm right behind you.
I'm right
Let's light
behind
the
him
fucking
too. Let's do
cigar.
it.
Let's
Enough
light
is
it.
enough.
That's bullshit.
The fuck are we
God.
wasting time for?
The punch. All right, hold on, boys. He doesn't have audio because he lit a cigar and put his headphones in late.
Who's that?
No check.
Gizmo's getting so angry right now.
He sounds like a.
I'll do it live.
What are you, fucking Bill O'Reilly?
I can't do it.
Do it. Fuck it.
Do it
Fuck
live.
it. We'll do it live.
I'll write it and we'll do it live. Fucking thing sucks.
I didn't even draw. I lit it, but I didn't draw on it yet. It's just kind of.
What is for credit? I don't know what that means to play us out. What does that mean? To end the show? Yeah. All right, go. In 5, 4, 3.
That's tomorrow, and that is it for us today.
That's tomorrow, and that is it. In 5, 4, 3. That's tomorrow, and that is it for us today. And we will leave you with a. I can't do it. We'll do it live. No, we'll do it live.
Fuck it.
Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. Fucking thing sucks.
All right, good. Let's go.
5, 4, 3.
Perfect
That's
timing.
tomorrow, and that is it for us today.
We got to keep that in.
All right.
We got to keep that in.
I would keep that in.
All right, boys. We're lighting the punch.
It means to play us out. What does that mean? To end the show? 5, 4, 3.
Let's light him.
That's tomorrow, and that is it.
Fucking thing sucks.
That is it for us today. And
That's
we will
it.
leave you
Thanks for
with
tuning
a-
into the podcast, everybody.
Can't do it. We'll do it live. Okay.
Oh, God.
Do it live.
We're doing it live, baby. This is the content we're becoming known for.
Oh God, guys, we had a production snafu for the listener. we had a production snafu, and Gizmo lost his fucking mind on Pagoda. I mean, his headphones weren't working. He lit the cigar too early, and he's gonna have to just get over it.
It was a major protocol breach.
He was like Bill O'Reilly in here in the studio.
You know what the best part is? Pagoda didn't give a fuck. He just sat there. It's just like, you're going to take care of this, right?
Fucking screaming at him. What are you doing there? What are you doing? Your headphones aren't. Your headphones
fuck it up?
Did you fuck it up? Did you fuck with it? Did you not put it on?
It's Pagoda. Like he just
I did not say any of those things, you assholes.
It's on tape,
All
brother.
right, we'll pull the tape. Oh, gosh.
This tastes great, by the way.
Great cigar. We're doing it live.
I want to hear how he got wasted on this. Because I wasn't there. I wasn't at this place that this happened.
Cover your ears, Gizmo.
So
Who wants to start?
Are we going there?
Yeah.
Oh,
Are we going there? We're going there.
I'm pretty confident saying the only reason Puba picked up this bottle is to go there.
Yeah.
So for the listener, buckle in.
I want to primer for the listener. This was a legendary lizard night. I wasn't there.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I
missed
wasn't
that
either,
night.
actually.
You weren't there.
I wasn't there.
It was just me, Puba, Rooster, Puba, and Gizmo.
And shit fuck.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, dude. So this. so we're at the lounge we all met at. Really nice, elegant lounge, but it closes at
9:58.
What was it? Yeah, 9:58. And if you've been listening to the podcast, we go longer than that.
10 o'clock doesn't work for us.
10 o'clock doesn't really work for us, nor should it for most people. I mean, so the hours are not reasonable at this place. So we would look for alternatives. And one of the alternatives locally is this local Indian restaurant. And the owner, who we're friends with, happens to let us smoke cigars in there, which is fantastic. From time to time, not all the time, but late at night, nobody's in there, and we would crack the doors or whatever. And so we go in, and we didn't light any cigars yet. I don't even know if we smoked cigars that night, did we?
I don't think we did.
I don't think we did.
No.
So we walk in, and the owner of this Indian restaurant, great guy, dynamic guy, funny guy. He's got a full bottle of Chivas 18 on the table, and he's running his whole scene in there. He's running his whole ecosystem. He's got an ecosystem that he runs, and
this is after the restaurant had closed. So it was
right.
him and this lady was sitting at the table.
They were meeting about a party.
She was apparently there.
What was her name?
Since 6 p.m. We just know her as shit fuck.
Right. So she got, we only call her shit fuck. So the owner of the restaurant's hanging out with this woman who we ended up.
Because she called us shit fuck.
Because she called us shit fuck. So basically we were talking about, she was talking about her kids, and she goes, I don't understand these kids. They talk back to me, and I'm like, you shit fuck. Like that, and I'm like, wow, shit fuck, and she's like, shit fuck. I'm like, you're shit fuck, and she's like, you're shit fuck, and then I guess that's it. So we just started calling her shit fuck, and she didn't mind. She thought it was funny, and so now
it's a term of affection. She calls her kids shit fuck.
I'm like, come on, shit fuck, have another drink, because I'm like, I can't believe she's talking like this.
It was
her mouth and everything, and she was like, shit fuck, these shit fucks. I go shit fuck. So I kept calling her shit fuck. She thinks it's funny. Everybody is drinking, and we're drinking this Chivas Regal. So Gizmo is there, and Rooster's sitting to the right of me. Gizmo's sitting to the left of me, and we start drinking. And it's not an ask like I need a refill. The owner of the restaurant, Mr. S, let's call him Mr. S, he just fills up your drink as you're moving along. You'll be like talking, and then you'll turn back in your drink, and then it's just full.
It's Indian hospitality.
It's Indian hospitality, yes. Precisely. So long story short, I look over at Gizmo, and he's it's like as if someone threw water on the gremlin. You know what I mean? Like his like there's weird. He's twitching. Weird things are starting to happen. His eyes are going all kind of crazy. Like, and I'm like, "What's up, Giz?" And he's like, I gotta go do payroll. I gotta go.
What time was this? 2 a.m.
About midnight.
It's like fucking midnight, right?
Payroll at midnight.
He goes, I gotta go do.
We're like, you gotta do payroll now? He's like, yeah, I gotta deliver. I gotta do this. I gotta do that. I gotta do payroll. I'm like,
Do
well,
payroll. I look at Rooster. He looks at me. He goes, fucking payroll. What the fuck is he doing? We're like talking about him in front of him. He doesn't even know what's going on. So, we're like, whatever. And he walks out to his vehicle. And we were wrapping up kind of anyway.
no, we thought he left. We were like, all right, he's got to do payroll. So
Yeah, we let him go, which wasn't the most responsible thing as a friend. But anyway, he's an adult. He's got to take responsibility for his actions. He walked out the door. And we thought he had gone. And we're going back to our car. And I see...
An hour later.
Next thing I know, I'm looking at this Volkswagen. And there he is. He's in the Volkswagen. And
the Arteon.
Right. And I look inside and he's asleep. He's completely unconscious. Right. And I go, Rooster, come here. You got to see this. I go, look inside. I go, Gizmo's fucking shot.
I wish you would have taken a photo.
Fucking shot. And then Rooster says, he goes, is that vomit in the car? And I'm like, definitely, that's vomit in the car. The entire passenger side of the vehicle is covered in puke. So I knock on the door, wake him up, and I look at him and I go, he snaps right to, like nothing. Like he seems like he's totally straight. I said, hey, man, you should...
I'm done with payroll.
I don't think you should drive. And he goes, he goes, nothing to do it. I go, listen, man, you own a business. You can't do this. You're not driving anywhere. And he said, oh, you're right. And that was it. And then we just pulled him out of the car. Rooster drove him home. And that was it.
Well, hold on. I heard he christened Rooster's. The side of Rooster's car.
The color of his car changed. I heard.
Well, I just said, listen, man, I got to drive you home. He was like,
yeah, he got in. Yeah,
he got in. And, the whole way home, we had the window down. And I think he must have
gave you a new paint job.
This is humiliating, I know. But this is the reality.
I knew it was coming. As soon as I saw Shivas on the itinerary tonight, I was like,
oh.
The only thing
party's over.
The only thing I heard, I feel like Gizmo needs an attorney right now, so I'm just going to play a fake one for the podcast's sake. I did remember Gizmo saying that he had told the owner he didn't want any more Shivas.
I was putting my hand over the glass.
That the owner was pouring the Shivas through his fingers into the glass.
Oh, that's exactly what happened.
I was begging him to stop pouring, and I was covering the glass with my hand, and he was pouring through my hand.
Were you drinking through a straw? I mean.
But I'd like to also put in context for the listener, please, just so everyone understands. One, Giz is not a big drinker at all. He's not a huge drink. Like he doesn't overindulge. But
for the record, also Gizmo didn't drink in college, which is the reason this happened.
That is true.
Yes, that's true. And so he's vomited, but subsequently to that as well. But so he's a puker. Is what I'm trying to say is that I want to provide context in that he's a little bit of a puker.
You're really helping with the context.
Well, no, because I don't want to make it seem like you're that guy who's like constant, because you don't. Me, I drink. You kind of drink. He hit up Senator Sink one night.
Yeah,
he claimed it on water. I mean,
that was the best one. So we had a legendary night at my place.
This is about 4 months after the Shivas incident,
right? Which at the time, Gizmo said, "Oh, it was just that night. I'm not a puker. This never happens to me."
This only happened to me at a Van Halen concert in like 1994, and you're like, okay.
So we have this great night at my place, and this was sort of when I had spread my love for caviar, and we're having caviar, champagne, cigars, all this sushi, catered, karaoke on my deck. I mean, it was a whole thing.
It was a wonderful day. Paul Roger,
Saber,
Roger,
yes.
everything. And fast forward, I noticed Gizmo. So part of the problem I noticed, everyone was pouring for themselves, and Gizmo was actually sitting right next to me that night. I'm looking at his glass, and it's like a Mr. S pour.
Dude.
I mean, he's just filling up
It was
his own
full.
glass.
Of what? I'm sorry, I missed it.
Of Macallan 12.
Macallan 12.
I still remember he had the
Oh, because
bottle
you
next
had the
to him
bottle
on
next
the
to him,
floor,
next on the deck.
and he just kept filling. And I was like, "Ooh, boy, that's aggressive pour."
Dude.
But I'm like, "All right, maybe he can,
One after another
maybe he
was
can
a
put
full
them back."
glass.
It was
a full fucking glass.
It was full.
I Ubered that night.
And
I
then
Ubered that
you
night.
did. And then you fast forward. I noticed. I'm like, Giz has been in the bathroom for a long time. And I look like through the sliding glass door, and I see there's like a line to use my bathroom. And I'm like,
line.
okay, something's not right here. How long can it take to, take a piss? So I go inside. It's so funny. And I go inside and just open the bathroom, and Giz is just standing over the sink, and my sink met Gizmo in a way it never hoped to.
Wow.
There was God knows how much worth of caviar and sushi in the sink.
And also, I'd just like to say, like Senator's guest bathroom, it's very nice.
It's pristine.
It's a very nice sink.
Pristine.
It's very, very nice. And it's like, this isn't like an American standard,
Oh, no.
sink that your grandmother had. This is like a flat sink, not to be puked in and stuff. It's a fucking disaster.
It's a custom Duravit sink, modern, crisp, and
Yeah, it's
pristine.
like built into the wall
Oh,
and
yeah.
shit. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, the real thing.
It was
it's like a fucking $11,000 sink or something.
At least.
You know what I mean?
At least.
And the best part is just Gizmo looks at me and he goes, it was the water. I was just trying to shovel water in my mouth, and that's how it happened. It was the water.
It was the water.
I'm just sitting there like, this is not the fucking water.
Because this is so much water. And then we split up into, so now we're like SEAL Team 6ing them.
Yes.
We're like, okay, we've got to.
Because I'm trying to fix it.
We're going to
So
cut.
this is the worst part. So
I was trying to fix
Gizmo,
it.
who's usually Mr. Fix It, but in this state was doing the exact opposite. He's like trying to rip the drain. I'm like, Gizmo, just get out of the bath. No, I got it. I'm telling Rooster, I'm like, Rooster, just get him out of the bathroom so I can try to fix this. And I had to plunge the sink, and finally
There were
it worked.
chunks.
Okay, so you just got to, for the listener, you have to have the visual of of Senator, because he's not a real tool guy. I mean, he may do spring plantings or whatever he does, but he's not Bam. I mean, Bam can climb up the side of a fucking tree and like chop a limb off, or like climb on somebody's roof.
He could build a house.
He could build a fucking house, this guy. Now, you got Senator, he goes and he grabs his toolbox.
Yeah, I actually had to bring
this
a toolbox.
fucking toolbox, dude. It's like right off Amazon. None of the shit's been fucking used. I'm like, there's stuff with plastic on it and barcodes and shit still. I'm like, dude, what is this toolbox? It's like, yeah, I'm gonna have to really address this. Like, he was so serious because his wife was away and everything, and he's like, I can't have
Yeah,
this.
can you imagine? My
A
wife
plumber.
comes home and it's like, why is there sushi in our bathroom sink? And it
Clogged in
won't
the
be
drain.
clogged in the drain. I
It
mean,
smells-
my goodness.
Oh, it's unbelievable. And he's trying to use this toolbox. It was very funny. But
You'll have to give me credit. I fixed it.
you did
Yes,
fix
you
it.
did.
Yes, he did.
So Giz had like dislodged the stopper, which I had to reattach.
It's the only time in the time I've known Senator, we get along very well. It's the only time he's ever been irritated with me at a degree that I knew it was that night. It was that moment.
Yeah.
I remember him yelling. I remember very distinctly him yelling at Rooster, "Get Gizmo the hell out of here!
Yeah, out of the bathroom.
Get him out of the
Not
bathroom."
the house, just
no,
the
just out
bathroom.
of the bathroom. Yeah.
That wasn't easy.
So the moral of the story to the young listeners out there: do not overly hydrate while you're drinking.
Yeah, it's the water.
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah,
It's the water.
You hydrate before or the morning after.
Not during.
No.
Oh, but we love you so much. And then genius producer, and we love you. But sometimes
Sometimes he malfunctions.
Well, listen, that was like
that's why you're Gizmo. I mean, it's because if the wrong ingredients go in, or you get exposed to certain things, you can have. Well, you have you have food vendettas too.
Vendettas.
Like he's got certain dietary vendettas. Like he won't eat dairy. Like it's a vendetta.
It's true.
I am. I'm
Yeah.
anti-dairy.
Anti-dairy.
Just 'cause I don't
there's
like how it
certain
makes me
things-
feel. It's
that's
not
why
an
you're
emotional
Gizmo.
thing.
You can fix everything, and you're smart. And there's certain ingredients that if you mix with you,
He
he explodes.
He's a gremlin.
Well, let's hope that three's not a charm because those two were plenty for the roast tonight.
Yes.
The roast of Gizmo tonight. Holy moly, boys.
It is nice to see you able to drink Chivas again because you swore you couldn't drink it again, but you're
It
being
is
a
good.
good sport today.
It is so good.
Right?
It's nice when I'm pouring it myself
Yes.
in a reasonable manner
Yes.
as
Yeah,
opposed to.
we know exactly how that ends. A gizmo pour is a term for a reason.
Yes. Oh, boy. What a night.
Uh,
Well, I'm very thankful that you guys recapped those stories for me. That was, and the listeners. Thank you guys so much.
well, we try to share, you know.
Sharing is caring. We learned a lot about a variety of different spirits this year. Here's a great clip of Grinder explaining the distillation process of Islay Peaty Scotch from episode 9. So I'm dying to take a sip of the Lagavulin Scotch that we have here. I'm dying to take a sip and pair this. So Lagavulin 16-year aged Scotch. Grinder, our resident Scotch expert. Tell us.
Not by any means.
By the way, I'm
Not
going to
by
sip
any
this. I'm going to sip this, and I want to hear.
It's great on the nose. Very nice on the nose.
Very nice.
I'm interested to see what Giz thinks of it.
Well, this was very controversial with Giz the first time he had it.
Yeah,
We'll have to tell that
I
story.
had an amateur palate at the time.
No,
Primitive. Excuse me, primitive palate at the
primitive
time.
palate.
It's a little more refined now.
Yeah, I would say you've rounded out a lot of the rough edges.
I have.
in a lot of ways. Look at your cabinet. Look at your whiskey selection.
It's true.
Yeah. So this is a personal favorite of mine. This is one of my favorite Scotch of all time. It has a lot of sentimental value for me because when I first started drinking it, I drank it with good friends of mine in Germany, still good friends of mine, Germans who, I was 23 years old working over there on a project and was there for almost a year. And we used to be in this little small town in the Rhineland called Gütersloh. And it was like this, there was nothing there except for this park hotel that we used to stay at. And they would say, this is the Scotch we're going to drink. We're going to try to drink this a lot. And then we did. It was really special. But it really kind of started my introduction to peaty Scotch. And, they make different, obviously, like all distilleries. They make a lot of different aged. These are mostly sherry casks, but they do sherry and bourbon casks, kind of mixed. And one of the funny things about this brand is that it's notoriously, or not notoriously, famously associated with Nick Offerman, who's Ron Swanson.
Ron Swanson, yeah.
Because Ron Swanson's character in Parks and Recreation was like the man's man. He like only ate red meat and was like no nonsense, had a certain proclivities and political views that were associated with that whole ethos. And he was just like
A lot like Puba.
and since that episode, or not just that episode, that whole show, he has like I think he has his own Lagavulin Scotch. That's like an 8-year Nick Offerman special edition Lagavulin. But back to the basics, it's an Islay Scotch. So Islay Scotch is famously peaty because of all the peat marshes, especially in the southern part of the island. The most famous peaty Scotch is obviously Lafroig.
Yeah, I can't.
Lafroig.
That is. I can't do that.
It's
Yeah.
gasoline in
I
a
can't
bottle.
do
I
it.
can't
I'm
mess
sorry.
with that.
So I think this distillery is, has been around for a while, probably early 1800s. Like most of them, and like most of them, they were probably distilling for a long time before then, illegally, because that's just kind of what the Scots did. And they, I think they actually got into quite a few legal battles with their neighbor, the Lafroig distillery, because they saw a couple of the distillers who founded the Lagavulin saw the success that Lafroig was having, and they said, we want to make something similar and make this an Islay kind of Scotch. And they did, and it turned out to taste very different. So if you tasted Lafroig and then you taste Lagavulin right next to it, you certainly notice a difference. The peat is more softer. There's more sweetness. You can definitely get some of the sherry
in the Lagavulin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And to the benefit, it didn't taste like. To their benefit, I think it didn't taste like Lafroig. Now, one of the things that makes it different is that their pot stills are very shallow. They're like pear pot stills, and they're not as high. So what that happens is this Scotch, it's kind of thick. Its viscosity it's a little heavy, and the reason is because when you have a pot still that's short, a lot of the particulates they stay with they don't get sucked out of the not sucked out, but they stay with the vapors as they go up and it's distilled.
You know what's funny, as you say about viscosity, if you turn your cup to the side, you'll kind of see it.
It's like molasses.
It is.
Yeah.
It kind of stays on the side of the glass.
It's got some legs.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah.
That's pretty wild.
So that's why, is because it has these short pear-shaped pot stills, copper pots, and because it's shorter, a lot of the particulates in the peat remain in it, but also a lot of the particulates from the sherry casks remains in it as well.
We've mentioned a few pyramids during the best of, as we reviewed quite a few this year. Here's a clip of the conclusion of the 2022 Battle of the Cuban Pyramids.
So what are the torpedoes? Just remind us all.
All right, so the other ones that we've
had.
done so far,
Yep.
we did the San Cristobal de la Habana La Punta.
That you all loved.
We'll discuss that. We did the Vegas
Let's
Robania
not.
Unicos, the Monte Cristo number 2, the Partagas Series P number 2, and the 2014 H. Upman number 2. So I just quickly want to go back to the ratings of the other pyramids. We went through them before. So this fits in the number 5 slot of 6, right above the San Cristobal de la Habana La Punta. That was a 5.9. This was a 6.2. So do you think that is appropriate?
I do.
Yeah.
I think so.
I think both cigars, the flavor was incredibly muddled, and I didn't get a whole lot out of it for most of those smokes. So for me, I think they're right where they should be.
Agreed.
Yeah. Cool. So again, Upman 2 and 9.8, the P2 and 8.7, Monty 2 and 8.4, Vegas Robania Unicos and 8.2. The San Cristobal de la Habana La Punta was a 5.9, and the Diplomaticos number 2 tonight, boys, was a 6.2.
Right above it.
Yeah. So that alongside the Fortaleza Reposado at an 8.3. I think we got our money's worth tonight, at least on the tequila. A lot of listeners have told us they relate to the various mindsets we've discussed one can have while smoking a cigar. Here's a deep discussion we did on the topic from episode 46.
You guys, something just crossed my mind. Do you guys know that feeling that you get when, like, I'm asking if you know. Of course you know this feeling, but the feeling that you get when you smoke a cigar, and even if it's just a good cigar, like a good to very good cigar, you know, and it gives you that like punch where you're like,
Yes.
do you know what I mean? Where it gives you that therapeutic punch.
Yep.
Do you know what I'm saying? And you're like, okay, and you like settle into it, and you're having this kind of like therapeutic response almost to it, where it really hits you. And like with cigars that we really like, I feel like almost the room gets quiet for a second.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And this particular cigar it's maybe just starting to do that now with a little bit more strength or something maybe, but it's just not doing that for me. Like I feel like it's not like I'm fighting with it. It's just not delivering like that present that I want, that a cigar to me that's like I'm not going to score it now, but that's like an 8 or above gives me. Do you know what I mean? It's not giving me that. And I don't know why, but it's just not delivering that kind of pleasure zone. It's not triggering that pleasure zone in my brain.
Let me ask you a
Do you know what
question
I'm
about
saying?
this. I do, and I want to dive into that because I think about that a lot, because sometimes I'll have, let's say, a cigar that I have a lot, like a Padron Exclusivo or a BBF or a Monty 2 or whatever it may be. I find that, and I'm curious what your answer to this is, but I find that it's not only a combo of the cigar and the environment, if I'm by myself or I'm with others, we're smoking the same thing or not, the vibe, but also just kind of where my energy is coming from my day, going into the day.
It's a great conversation. I have some comments on that.
Like,
yeah.
what is the formula for you
Personally,
yes, that you have found that helps you achieve that?
so for me, and this isn't for everybody, because I've actually spoke to Senator about this multiple times. I think I've spoke to you the most about it.
Yeah.
You know, for me, like when I'm really stressed out,
Yeah.
like if, we all get there, whether it's about work or life or whatever, when, you
Daily,
have one of those days, sometimes like to me, a cigar, I have to be in to enjoy a cigar, and I'm in that mindset now, ready to enjoy. But for me, when I'm stressed out, it's kind of hard to get in the mindset for me to unwind enough to actually let the cigar present itself for me to take my time with it, and for me to be in that kind of a meditative mindset where I can sit and just enjoy a cigar, listen to music, have a drink by myself, and smoke it. Almost like that feeling where you'd have like, you know what, I don't really want to go out tonight because I had such a rough day. It's that kind of a day. But to me, cigar, now other people feel differently in this room, and everybody's different. Where they're like, if I had a stressful day, I really need to have a cigar to unwind.
Correct.
I fall somewhere in the middle there. Like if I have a medium stressful day, a cigar to unwind is great. But if I have a super stressful day or something, that's not what I'm looking for. Because I can't just get in that for me to get to the meditative state where I can actually accept the delivery of it and like be into it.
Yeah.
I'm too preoccupied to even enjoy it. It doesn't take me out. Now, so I don't know where I'm going, but I guess what I'm saying is that everybody's different, and that when you're in the mindset, when I'm like in the best of circumstances for me, where I'm like, I want to really have a cigar in optimal circumstances mentally. This isn't giving me that delivery where it's like, oh my God, like this is really so nice. Do you know what I mean? It's not doing that.
Sure.
I feel exactly opposite. In fact, me and my friends, when we started smoking cigars and we'd get together, we'd call it our therapy sessions. And the reason was we'd go to bars and we'd in loud, environments, barely having a conversation, and your conversations are very different. You have a stressful day, you hang out with a couple of buddies, you're hanging out, smoking a cigar, and maybe the first cigar doesn't deliver, but by the way you would get to the second cigar, you'd be in such a relaxed state. And that's what really drove us to cigars. And for us, it was called a therapy session. In fact, we still call it our therapy sessions. And if we were to open up a cigar lounge, we'd call it a therapy session. You're right. Everyone feels differently about cigars. And for me, every time I have a stressful day, I want to go sit down, be in my solitude, have my cigar, have a cup of coffee or a drink, and just chill. And within a couple of cigars, I'm really good to go, and then I'm back to being the husband or the citizen of in the community. But the cigars really help me unwind because it gives me that hour and a half, 2 hours of just being in the quiet zone, in the solitude.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm somewhere in the middle. I mean, closer to Pagoda in that I think for me, cigars are like my version of therapy. But I can relate also to what Puba's saying in the sense that I think the best smokes are always celebratory smokes.
Yes,
when you're on
absolutely.
vacation, when
That's right.
you have a great day, at work, whatever the case may be, nothing beats the feeling of being in a good mood and a cigar just putting you on cloud nine.
Yeah, exactly.
Nothing beats that.
Nothing beats that. But you're right. I mean, like, I fall a little bit more into the middle of the, like a cigar is not going to, it's a spectrum thing. I mean, it's degrees. So it's not going to bring me out of it. I'm not reaching for it when I'm really like, if because of something. But if I'm in the middle and I'm with people, it's going to help me.
And that's
if
where
I'm alone,
I can relate on both sides because where I am more like Pagoda, though, when it is on the far other end of the spectrum, if I'm having my worst of days, I mean, my wife will just have to look at me to know I've not had a good day, and she'll say, "Do you want to go? Are you going to go to the lounge?
Go to
like
the
maybe
club."
just have a cigar." And I'll just sit down, even if no one is around me. If I'm just by myself and I light up a cigar that I enjoy, it just brings
can bring
me
you
back
up. It can
down
bring
to
you up.
Like everything's fine. I can think with more clarity. I mean, there are times I'm just wrestling with a really tough work-related decision, and I can just have a cigar, and all of a sudden I feel like I have perfect clarity. It's like I can't even explain it. So I can relate to both sides there. But all that's to say, I and many of us could not live without cigars.
No, absolutely not. So honestly, for me, the meditative state that Puba mentioned is important here. I reach for a certain cigar because not every cigar is going to get me to that meditative state that I'm pursuing.
That's interesting.
No doubt about it. Like I'm not going to reach for, a lighter bodied cigar. I need something that's interesting, that captures me the moment I light it. An Exclusivo, I'm in a cloud heaven with that cigar. So I reach for when I need it, I go for the specific cigar. And I've got a short list on my mind that I really love. Got to have that on a tough day. And it gets me right there.
Interesting.
Yeah, and it allows me to kind of put my day aside. And I've only recently learned how to do that. That's not easy.
I think for me, the only difference maker as far as my ability to de-stress, let's say with a cigar or get to that state, is if I've had a very stressful day, sometimes I just like to smoke by myself.
Those are my favorite moments. Some of my favorite moments.
And it's always balanced with, we do this a couple of nights a week. We smoke by ourselves a couple of nights a week. But when I'm really super stressed, unless we have an appointment like this, like we're going to do a pod, like I know that when I'm driving here, it's like
This for me is an event.
I love it.
I look forward to this.
Absolutely. And what I mean by that is on my way here, I'm trying to prepare my mind to get to the place that we need to do we're going to do the pod.
Rooster inside is laughing because he's always in his
I know.
meditative state.
I can't wait to hear what he has to say. But really the difference for me only is smoking with folks or smoking by myself.
Yeah.
I just want to say one thing. The other day, Rooster and I were hanging out with now a friend of ours, we'd call it, and we were exhausted. We had spent the whole day golfing, and we went for a very long dinner. And we were just exhausted. It was past our buddy's bedtime as well. But when Rooster pulled out the 898, a 2002 898,
Partagas.
Thank you, by the way. Really appreciate it. It just woke us all up. We were fully energized. Yeah. So what a really good cigar can do for you is just liven your mood up. And it's like a second wind. And it was great because it just changed the whole conversation. Everybody was energized. And it's interesting how cigars can really just, really influence your mood.
That's wonderful. It was a great day.
That goes back to what Puba said earlier. For him, this isn't getting him there, right? It's a good cigar, very tasty for him, but it's not giving him that body that elevates it. And that's fair.
And the complexity. I would argue that he chases complexity in a cigar.
So I think
whether it's full or not, I'm speaking for you, but he chases a really interesting, complex cigar.
And from the point of view of the listener, as they smoke more and more cigars, they're going to find the ones that they really love. Like I have my short list, as I mentioned, that I have to have when I have a terrible day.
What are they?
You're going to find those. The BBF, D4,
Millennium,
the Millennium for sure, the Exclusivo, QD won't. That's not sufficient for a tough day for me. The Upman 2, 100%.
Yeah,
no doubt about it. But boy, oh boy, when you think about a Davidoff Millennium, dude, and just not that I'm about to compare that to this, but like what that delivers, in terms of like this,
yeah.
Boy, oh boy, it's a nice cigar.
Because you know what you're going to get out of that.
And it's so consistent. It's
so consistent. You know what you're going to get. Yeah. Yes. But
just like the Exclusivo, you know what you're going to get.
But besides knowing what you're going to get, I could smoke this again and kind of know what I'm going to get.
Right.
But what you're getting with the Davidoff Millennium is really, really good.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
The only thing, though, I think Bam brings up a very important point because this has got me thinking now. There really is something to be said about when you're in those moments that you need to pick me up. You've had a long day. You're tired. Need to pick me up in the way that Pagoda mentioned. You reach for a cigar that you know exactly what you're going to get, and even though we're smoking this cigar, sure, we think we know what we're going to get in the next one, but I would even say, as much as I love the D4, I can't say that every single D4 I pick up from every single box is going to be the same. They're not.
Absolutely.
They're a little different. Some are going to be a little sweeter. Some are going to be a little spicier.
Yeah.
Some are going to have a little more baking spice. Like there's all these, it's kind of I know I like all the variations of it, which is why I love the D4. But it got me thinking, I mean, I really, when I'm in a tough moment and I just need a cigar to just relax and unwind, I do find myself reaching a lot
Exclusivo?
for a Padron, either an Exclusivo, an 80th,
80th,
or a Millennium, because those are cigars that
They're your familiar friend.
It's not even every single box, every single time.
It's the same.
It's the same.
Yeah.
I mean, truly, there's not much variation. Where even with a D4, as much as that's one of my favorite cigars of all time, there is variation where I'm not exactly certain from that particular box, unless I've smoked it before, what I'm going to get.
So what he just said is interesting. Unless I smoked it before, if you find a box of D4s, like one you and I ordered a while ago, I still have that.
Yeah.
They all smoke incredibly good, really rich and robust. I'm holding on to those.
Yeah.
Because for those moments, that hits the fucking spot.
I do the same thing, man.
It hits the spot.
Yep. And that's, listen, that's part of the journey, right? I mean, even a cigar you guys have mentioned, a couple of you guys have mentioned the Exclusivo. They're all great, but I've had those Exclusivos that for whatever reason, is it the cigar? Is it my mindset at the time? Is it the group I'm with? Are we laughing a lot? Are we having a great discussion like this? That there's like that extra 1% or extra 5% that Exclusivo out of the same box that I've been smoking is like a holy shit moment.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Even with the same cigar.
Yeah, sometimes you kind of want to go back into your tower and like revisit some of the smokes. Like you might not have had it for a while. Like I think it was the Upman 54 or even the 50 or the Kanye.
Yeah.
I mean, the Kanyes were like, they didn't do it for me in the beginning, and Puba used to love the Kanyes.
I still do.
I love
And
that
he still
cigar.
does.
I still
and
do.
so I went back like after like months of not smoking that cigar. I went back, had a Kanye, and it was an afternoon. It blew me away. It was so good. I don't know, because it sat for a while. It kind of changed it, made it more complex and balanced, and really good. And then the Upman 50 and the 54.
Yeah,
delicious
54.
Delicious
Delicious cigars.
Yeah.
Yeah, as as these cigars sit in our tower for years, they do change. Like I had a Vigia the other day. I've got some 2018 Vigia. I was okay with that cigar when I like first got it, but like I haven't touched that box in a couple of years.
Did you have one?
And
you
I
had
went
one
in
recently?
and I had one recently, and it was really good.
Wow.
Like I mean, it still wasn't. I wasn't like it was way better than I remember it, but it's still to me only just just very good, not great. But again, it changed.
One last thing, if you don't mind. Also, the dimension of the cigar matters.
I totally agree.
Yeah, like that. Last week I had the HTC,
The Hoyo Double Corona.
Yeah, that was a 2-hour cigar. I was alone at night looking at the lake. My mind just completely drifted. And it allowed my mind to drift because of the time needed to smoke that cigar. So that matters as well, depending on the situation.
I think to your point, the ring gauge does. There are certain ring gauges that are more appropriate for certain occasions. For me personally, probably everyone doesn't subscribe to this, but you all have heard me several times. If I've had a really rough day, say I just want to drown myself in clouds of
Just
smoke.
want to be a chimney.
Yes.
I just want to be a chimney. I've said it 1,000 times. And I will reach for, that's when you'll see me pull like a Partagas E2, a 54 ring gauge stick that's just plumes of smoke everywhere. And it just puts me in that kind of meditative state where I'm not thinking about anything else that's pissing me off that day except that cigar.
Yeah.
And the same way that sometimes for a really celebratory occasion, and I remember once our former lounge, I had a really great day at work. I landed a big client, and I wanted a really big cigar that just put out a ton of smoke. And I had gotten a Davidoff Piquant for the first time. And it was
That's a good cigar.
It's a great cigar.
I've never had that.
It was, they didn't have the Robusto. They just had this 60 ring gauge. And I lit that thing up.
60.
I was so happy. Wow. I don't have a single 60 ring gauge smoke in my humidor, but for that one occasion, when I just wanted a big cigar in my hand and clouds of smoke to just celebrate a really, a nice moment for myself, It was perfect. So I like your point, Bam. I do agree that, depending on the situation, the ring gauge really matters.
Yeah, and when you're smoking a Lonsdale like this, back to this cigar, to me, like my expectation with a good Lonsdale is this, like, this bar is setting it too high, but like a Classicos or an 898, this elegant, it's like this, the wrapper's delivering this and the binder delivering this kind of pointed flavor. It's, my expectation, the size is like, there's a disconnect, but the elegance of the size and how it feels in the hand. And when you light it, and then what this delivers for me falls short for me, in terms of the length of the commitment, because it takes a second. You can't just blast through this thing. It takes a second to get through. And there's time in between draws, the finish. So the finish on this is abrupt enough where it's not hanging around on my palate long enough for me to really be like in between draws, for me to really be enjoying it. You feel me?
Totally.
Yeah.
I think also to your point, smaller ring gauge cigars for me, maybe folks agree or disagree. I think the draw is usually just a little bit more resistant, and so it forces me to smoke it slower than it does a larger ring gauge cigar that's got obviously a lot more surface area to just blow smoke through that.
Of course,
true. So I think in those moments where I just want to take my time and savor a cigar, I'm not I've had a long day and I just want to puff away and just be a chimney, but I just really want to enjoy and appreciate a cigar slowly. That's when I reach for a Lonsdale or a smaller ring gauge cigar that I'm just ready to be taken on that journey.
Right. But that journey for me to get there, the finish needs to be just much longer for, you know what I mean? Where it's like hanging around in between draws, because to your point, you got to take your time a little bit.
Slow down.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a time and a place for all different sizes of sticks.
So true.
And that's why every single cigar manufacturer makes different sizes, for different moods, different times of the day. If it's the winter time, you might want just like a quick 20-minute smoke.
Yep.
And I love the small ring gauges and the small sizes. That's typically a morning smoke for me.
Yeah.
I love the Trinidad, like the Reyes, half Coronas, the Ramon, the small one. What's
small
that
Corona?
Small
Club Corona.
Yeah, Club,
Sure.
delicious.
But those
delicious.
cigars you mentioned have so much
flavor.
more flavor.
So much flavor. Oh,
They're packing they're punching so far above their weight class.
The
even
Colonialis as well.
Even the Monte Cristo Media Coronas, delicious cigars. In that size, awesome.
Yeah, and when I think of Monte Cristo, I think of that like chocolate bomb, some of those dessert flavors that you get from a typical Monte, and this particular cigar just isn't delivering in that fashion for me.
I want to tie two things together here really fast, because I think it's interesting. You mentioned about seeing the potential in a cigar or tasting the potential.
Yeah,
right?
sure.
And also going to what a couple of you guys have said about, when you have a cigar that's not great, you leave it in your humidor for a little while, you come back to it. It is interesting how, in a lot of cigars that are young, you can taste the potential saying, oh, in 2 years, 5 years, 6 months even, this is going to be way better. And in moments like this, it is interesting that some cigars just don't age even like their peers, same size, same vitola, etc. It's a really interesting journey as far as aging cigars goes.
I agree. The only thing, though, I would say to the listener is I think that more times than not, this is
Absolutely.
not foolproof, but more times than not, when you encounter a cigar that you don't enjoy, I've been in this boat so many times where I've been so frustrated with a cigar, I've considered just throwing it out. I don't even want it in my humidor. I'm sitting there saying this is not at all enjoyable. Maybe at best it gets somewhat enjoyable, but it's still not going to be a great cigar. And the reason I say this, I remember some random kind of yard everyday cigar I had bought years ago. I hated, and I thought about throwing them out. And then I said, screw it, I'm just going to leave them in this extra humidor I had. I left it there for years. All of a sudden, years later, just as a joke, I thought it'd be funny. I said, let me just try and see what this possibly tastes like. Out of all of a sudden, it was probably 3 years later, that cigar was creamy and sweet and delicious. And I could not believe how different it was from my first experience. So I just say it's not perfect. It's not foolproof, but more times than not. And in fact, I'd say most times If you just tuck something away for years and revisit it, you could be very pleasantly
You could
surprised.
be. There's no doubt about it. I mean, there's no doubt about that.
We've welcomed on a few guests this year, and first up was our friend Chef Ricky Camacho from the Añejo Restaurant Group, who introduced us to artisan tequilas on episodes 32 and 34. Here's a clip from episode 34, where we tasted tequilas in both Añejo and Extra Añejo. All right, boys, we have Ricky here, so we know what we have to do, which is drink some tequila.
Yeah, can we just dive into this tequila?
Let's get
because
into it.
it's staring at me, and a cigar like this needs
Absolutely.
So,
a
Ricky,
deserving pairing.
what's up first? Tell us about it.
All right, guys. So first up, we got the Fortaleza Añejo. This is a lowland tequila, meaning it comes from the Valley of Tequila in Jalisco. This is cooked in brick ovens. This is extracted using a tahona, which is a large stone wheel that's rolled over the cooked agave. And as far as fermentation, wooden fermentation tanks, open air fermentation, meaning there's wild yeast that goes in there. And for aging, they age this in American white oak ex-bourbon barrels and distilled near proof, but they do have a still strength on the market too that's a little hotter, but a little brighter on agave.
This is delicious.
Yeah.
These
Oh my
guys,
God.
I
yeah.
think it's safe to say that most of us in this room love this tequila. I happen to really love this.
The
This-
nose is really
it's
interesting.
fantastic.
The flavor is very interesting.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
top to bottom, it is
Yeah.
just a superb.
Yeah, and I
Spirit.
haven't had this neat until tonight.
Really.
Wow.
So
The first
yeah,
time I
How
had
the
it,
hell
Ricky
did I
gave it
let
to me
that
neat.
happen?
I don't know how you let that happen. You're not doing your job. But at the club, I had it with just a chip of ice. It really was so delicious. I happen to like it better than a Don Julio. But neat now, it's a different experience.
Very
it's
balanced.
still very enjoyable.
So Grinder, if you there's saltiness here and minerality that really just pair well with this cigar.
I was just gonna say a lot of minerality. It kind of tastes like hard water.
yeah,
like-
yeah.
I'm serious. It's like I'm getting like a mineral water.
Yeah.
So you, for me, I sort of I refer to that as soul, right?
Yeah.
And that comes from this process that 2 weeks ago we had tequilas, and neither of those tequilas were made with a tahona. Those agaves were processed using a screw mill. So it's more of a shredding process and metallic in that sense. But here you're using that tahona, and it's really introducing a lot of minerality and saltiness. And
The pairing is phenomenal.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
Oh
this
my
is
God.
working really well.
Yeah, I mean,
so
I-
well complemented.
I also have to say, I mean, Ricky's poured for us also the Reposado before, and this is obviously the Añejo. And we're talking about lesser known brands that really deserve a spotlight. And I think Fortaleza, because the Reposado is fantastic. I like that. I can actually find. I have purchased some. I don't have the Añejo yet. I need to find this. This brand is deserving of a lot of credit.
Fantastic.
all right, guys, next up we have the Tapatio Excelencia. This tequila is made by one of my favorite master distillers in Carlos Camarena.
Beautiful color.
Is that a region in Mexico? Tapatio?
Tapatio is actually the name of the. I want to say it's the name of
what's
the
the region that rhymes with? Sounds similar.
Jalisco.
No, that doesn't sound similar.
Tomatillo?
I'm not talking about
if
vegetables.
Rooster says so
See.
himself.
See,
So, fun fact about the previous tequila we drank: it's made by Guillermo Salza. He is the 3 times removed grandson of Salza, the tequila that we all know as the sort of poor favorite. And basically, he saw this empty distillery on his land that his grandpa used to use way back in the day, or his great grandpa. Sorry, 2 times removed. He wanted to bring it back to life, and he did so by creating Fortaleza. So that's and you know what the reality is in this industry, that's how a lot of this tequila is made, because it's such a labor of love kind of thing. It's not a quick money maker or anything like that. You really need that passion and that history to make it happen. This next guy, Carlos Camarena from Tapatio, so he makes a few different tequilas. He makes Tequila Ocho, he makes El Tesoro, and he makes Tapatio out of La Teña Distillery. Now, this distillery is positioned on a place in Mexico where the soils are so rich in iron that they're red, and the water tastes of blood.
That's unbelievable.
That's so cool.
It is insane.
Very cool.
So maybe if we do this again, I'll bring the El Tesoro next time around. But he basically made it tequila for everyone. So the Tequila Ocho is sort of like it's 3 times distilled. It has a smooth finish. And then he has the El Tesoro, which is artisanal and they're all artisanal, but he follows all of the old school methods. And then we have Tapatio, which is somewhat in the center. So, he has an engineering background. So he sort of, used that to create his distillery. And he has all these different methods of fermentation, of processing or grinding the agave, everything from a screw mill to a steel roller to a Tohona. And in the case of Tapatio, he uses both. So he's getting maximum extraction. Now, this tequila is the only extra añejo that we've tasted so far, both here and in the clubhouse. It is it spends 4 years in oak, and then it's rested in glass for an additional year. So, like the Fuente Seca, he's letting it sit in the glass just to kind of marinate and come together and be itself.
I'll tell you, I get a lot of caramel in this one.
Yeah,
lots.
The note, by the way, the only note that I can really explicitly call out on the nose is cherry. When I smell this, it's like cherry.
Yeah, I get caramel.
I get cherry.
I get caramel in the front, and I get caramel in the finish.
So now with the taste, it's
agree
all
with that.
it's
right,
caramel.
Senator.
For sure.
Senator's
I agree
with me
that.
there.
I think so. I get the cherry on the nose, like you're describing.
That's accurate.
But then, like Bam says on the finish, I get the caramel notes.
It's
Are
really
you guys
quite nice.
familiar with Mexican cinnamon or canela?
No.
Yes.
All right, I'll bring a nice piece of bark of that just so you guys can
I'll
smell
chew
that.
on it.
And that's what I got here on the finish.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. This
Cinnamon.
is just amazing, right? It's an extra añejo. This bottle retails for about $170.
Wow. Once again, very generous. Thank
Ricky,
you.
bring in the heat, baby.
But it drinks like something that should cost much more. And you guys react to the price point, but to me, I'm like, that's a liter bottle, and it's fucking delicious.
Yeah, it is.
For
It is.
$170.
It's excellent.
I don't
This
need
is
to
really
spend
good.
$300,
So
$400
is that
bucks
is
to get
that
it done.
typical for an extra añejo cost wise? I mean,
No, extra añejos are typically a little bit more, especially when they're aged as long as this, right? Because you could age for 3 years and still be an extra añejo.
So this is 5, correct? All
yes,
in?
5 all in.
4 in a barrel, 1 in the
4 in a
glass.
barrel, 1 in glass.
Unbelievable.
So when you're in the glass though,
Yeah, that's a good.
have you ever tasted something that was everything up until putting it in the glass and before it goes in the glass to taste that versus after it's been in the glass? Is there actually a difference? Because as I'm thinking to myself, what is actually happening in that bottle?
1,000%. I mean, there is a difference from opening the bottle and waiting a few months. It's I wouldn't say that the bottle's imparting any flavor, but I just think the resting process allows it to come together and to.
So that's fascinating to me because
Yeah,
I like we all drink scotch. Scotch to me, when we have an age statement on the bottle and it's in a bottle and it's not really changing from the day that it came out of the barrel, right? If you can have a 12-year-old scotch that was out of the barrel and ready for distribution in 2000 and then try that same bottle 10 12 years later, whatever, and it's going to taste pretty much the same.
It's close, but I think if you're tasting it and analyzing it, you'll find differences. 100%.
Dan from Cigar Salute came on for a 2.5-hour discussion about a counterfeit box of Cohibas I acquired, how advanced the counterfeiters have gotten, and also how we can all try to avoid buying fake Cuban cigars. Tell us a little bit about what you found in my box, how this whole thing started with this specific ring of really good counterfeit cigars, how they ended up in these trusted retailers, and I guess let's start there.
Sure. This very well done counterfeit cigar, this style of a counterfeit cigar, it's really kind of been replacing the old tropes about glass tops and really janky looking fake bands. Like over the last couple of years, you've been seeing it more and more. That with counterfeit cigars, they're getting better and better at duplicating the real deal as far as aesthetics go. More often than not now, I'm seeing scenarios where it appears that the bands are either genuine bands that were stolen and made it into the black market somehow, or they are absolute perfect copies, which I don't believe that they are. I personally think that they're stolen genuine bands. Because,
so like out the back door of the Cohiba factory, like stolen, like what does that mean exactly?
Well, that's certainly possible. If you think about the economy of Cuba, especially right now, it's certainly not too far of a stretch to think about, a handful of, bundles of bands making their way out the back door because they can mean serious money for somebody, if they know what to do with them.
Yeah.
And, the other thing that I'm seeing is that they're using, with the increased accessibility of custom rolled Cuban cigars, it really isn't hard to get a bundle of Cuban Robustos and slap a bundle of Cohiba bands on them, and now you have transformed a $2 custom roll into a $25 to $60 cigar. And the consumer that winds up with this box, they light the cigar up and they get that unmistakable Cuban flavor where they know it's Cuban tobacco, but they're not getting the cigar that they paid for.
So Dan, as we come to the end of the episode here, I want to I want to give our listeners and us, I mean, I open it up to you and everyone here, but what are some action items that you can kind of give us and the listener to first source authentic Cuban cigars to the best of their ability, but also know and check that they have authentic Cuban cigars, even in their humidor right now that they already have, like I did. What are some of the things that they and we can do to be better set up to not have fake Cuban cigars in our humidor?
Okay. Well, the biggest thing is who are your connections? You want to learn how these cigars are distributed. I touched on it a little bit earlier, but if you want to be certain that you're going to get authentic product, then deal with licensed sources. Learn about what La Casa del Habano is. Learn about Habano specialists and Habano's points. If you stick with retailers who source only from official supply chains, then you're not going to have the issues that the gray market is dealing with right now. The other thing is, being involved with Cuban cigars, knowledge is always power. So right now there's a retailer, a gray market retailer, that they have more Cohiba than I've seen anybody have in the last year. And they have stuff that I haven't seen on the shelf in God knows how long. Siglo 5 cabinets. They have Medio Siglo and Siglo 6 and Cohiba Robustos in stock and whatnot. And this is a retailer that their regular selection is dismal on any given day. They might, they're a retailer that picks up overstock from Spain and they sell them out of Canada. I'm talking about RSVP cigars right now. Something like that to me is a red flag.
Yeah.
Because
if it's too good to be true, it is, right? While we're on the topic of disappointment, the worst cigar and spirit we had all year both happened to end up on the same episode just a few days ago. The Nightmare Before Christmas. We started thinking it might be fake.
Cigar. I'm reading in one of the reviews from a cigar retail giant that says, arguably the largest boutique brand of the past 5 years.
Oh, wow.
Oh, really?
And it's too boutique for us to know about it, I guess.
Yeah. Sounds like a PR ploy.
It does.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So much of this is
It
PR.
does say Cuban-inspired packaging, blending honor the tradition of cigars.
More PR.
The cigars they have, so it says some of their 90-plus rated cigars include 4 Kicks, the first of their cigar line, earthy, balanced by sweet and spicy notes, Headley Grange and Jericho Hill, dedicated to legendary Johnny Cash. So I feel like
Take it
there's
easy.
a lot of
Take it easy, crowned heads.
Thank you, Gizmo.
Inspired by, did you say Cuban packaging? So did they put these in undersized dress boxes that give them a subtle box press?
That squeeze the shit out of it.
Do they misspell the names on the labels and still sell them?
A subtle box press.
Do they raise the prices 300% year over year?
Do they sell counterfeits of these on Monte Fortuna?
That's right.
Yeah, where's the black light?
We may need to check this.
We need to have Dan back on.
Yeah, we need to get Dan back
I wonder
on.
if there's like some, like, I don't know, strategist at Monte Fortuna or something. Some guy who's like, these fucking podcast guys are like ripping our assholes apart here.
They are. I think they're very well aware of us. At this point.
Oh boy.
There we go.
I would think they are.
That's what's sad. If you were to give this cigar to even the most novice of cigar smokers, I don't think they would understand why we smoke cigars. They would say, "What does this taste like?"
They would probably never smoke a cigar again.
You know, and you know what almost makes that worse is the counter to the point I made about its performance. Someone smoking this cigar, seeing it burn like it does, ash like it does, output like it does, draw like it does, and then has nothing else. That's almost worse to me than having a cigar that's like, oh, this isn't burning right. The wrapper's coming undone. It's not well. Like,
that's my argument.
Yes.
It's deceptive.
It's almost like it makes it 10 times worse.
I mean, I don't factor any of that in really much, but for me, the bitterness just really fucking threw it for me.
Wait a minute.
Like
you don't factor in the way it's burning, the way the draw is. That has nothing to do with
you must
with your rating.
It's a must. It's a must.
Yeah, I think I do, but I'm not pulling hairs on. For me, when I'm thinking about the enjoyment of it, and for this particular stick, I wasn't focused on the draw. I didn't really care about the draw.
The draw was good.
I didn't care about the burn.
Honestly,
I was.
Hold on. I need to counter just for a moment. My most favorite Cuban, if there's no draw, how do you enjoy a cigar that you can't draw? Right?
It's a fair point.
Yeah, the performance has to be...
Or they have to touch up every 5 seconds.
Yeah.
It's like you can't
That
enjoy
has
it.
to factor into it, Grinder.
Yeah, a bit.
Okay, it does. But my point is that I'm trying to make is that the bitterness was so overwhelming.
Yeah.
Forget about like I just
couldn't get through it. Yeah.
I was just like, this is too much. Like I can't enjoy this. And then the finish with the bitterness was just so prolonged. Like
the saddest thing about this stick is that this was meant to honor 4 people who passed. They deserve better than this.
Absolutely.
Yep. Lizard Listener, the Cigar Soldier, also agreed with our review of the Atabey Brewhouse on episode 49.
It's not a standout to me. It didn't stand out flavor-wise, like where I was like, wow, like, woo, like, or you get that relaxing, whoa. These guys are really hurting me. They're breaking me up tonight. No, but it doesn't give you that. Like, I was confused by it more than I was really.
I would
like enjoyed it.
I would echo your sentiment there. There's a good barometer for a good cigar for me is if I'm smoking a cigar and I like it enough that there's something in it that keeps me coming back and I'm focused on that and I'm like, wow, this is really good. I get just as much enjoyment out of this cigar as I get from a decent cigar that I smoke when I'm mowing my lawn. It's just something to puff on and slightly enjoy while I'm doing other shit. Like there's nothing that I'm focused on where I'm doing the bam bam pounce with the hand and the revelation of how great the cigar is. There's nothing like that.
No, there's no exclamation point on it. There's nothing that's like there's nothing.
That's a great way to put it.
There's no exclamation point. It's not like this is, and it's like, you know, it's not bad, it's not unpleasant, but it wasn't exciting to me.
I do think, though, and this is maybe a stupid statement, but I think if Grinder came in and said that this cigar was $12, I think I'd be like, wow, okay, maybe I should get a few of these for the humidor. Not that I'm going to smoke them at night, but at 32, I think it's different than at $12.
I just go back to those. So this is where, for me, even at $12, I'm not sure this has a place for me. In that, I still don't think there's enough flavor at $12 for me to pick up this.
There's
stick.
not.
I go back to one of the most shocking cigars we reviewed. Was that Arturo Fuente
The Hemingway Signature.
Hemingway Signature. I
Yeah.
never had that cigar.
It's a great cigar.
And that cigar, it's a mild medium cigar. It's not a full cigar at all, which is not normally my speed. I would like medium full. I was just shocked, like the nuttiness in that cigar. It had enough flavor that I could light that in the morning, even in the afternoon, and I would be satisfied. I could mow my lawn, have that cigar, and be very happy. This cigar has less flavor than that. I'm calling out that nutty flavor that I got from that random, probably $10 Arturo Fuente cigar. This cigar, I don't know what I'd even say stands out flavor-wise.
It's muddled.
It's just creamy and sweet, but there's nothing really distinct. You know, we could name every single cigar brand and we would say, you know, a Partagas, it's got like that spice and cinnamon and all these things. We could talk about an Upman and the dessert-like flavor. I don't know what to say about an Attaby other than it's creamy, it's smooth. There's not much more there.
And flawless construction and
that, yeah.
And, you know, and it's a very handsome smoke.
But I just mean for flavor.
Yeah,
like
for flavor,
that's
right.
like the distinctive characteristic to me about each brand. It's got a unique flavor profile. I can't say there's really a unique flavor other than it's creamy and it's a smooth, pleasant enough cigar. That's about it.
Rob Isla from FOH joined us on episode 56. We loved his take on factory runs and his interesting perspective on doing business with Habanos SA.
I feel like this is a big source of debate. Just
we know where you're going.
Lizards in the room.
I know where you're going.
And I say that because there's one school of thought that, you know, aged cigars are always the best cigars, that no matter what stick we're talking about, the more age, the better it gets. There's another school of thought that's sometimes age actually doesn't necessarily do as many favors for certain cigars. And sometimes a younger, you know, cigar with just a few years of age may actually smoke better than that same stick with more age on it. We have this debate amongst ourselves all the time. I'm looking at Rooster in the room.
The connoisseur corner.
At Rooster as a connoisseur with some heavily aged inventory at his humidor. But I asked this, I'm just curious, maybe if we just bite off the last 10 years, it kind of what your perspective is on, you know, how much age is really needed for some of the brands that we smoke a lot of, like Partagas, Upman, Monty. And then over the last 10 years, you know, what years have really stood out to you as kind of overperforming, let's say, and years that maybe have underperformed that maybe you don't pursue as aggressively? I'm just curious.
That's such a hard question. Until pre-COVID, you know, I'd be inspecting 200,000 cigars a year, of everything. I
want that job.
Oh my gosh.
Are you hiring, Rob?
Not right now.
But you get you get a little bit disillusioned in when you have a bad run of cigars. I don't think it has much to. I don't think it has that much to do with years. It really is about consistency in runs. You've got some great box codes which bring out some superb cigars in a period of time, but you go back in 6 months later and that same box code is producing rubbish in that cigar, right? So, and people don't talk about that. They always remember the 14s, the Upman 14s, LUBs, but you know that, and they're great, but you know, you go to the next year in 15s, they weren't as good, and they're still coming out of Upman. I don't think there is such a thing as a great year. I think the consistency of Habanos production isn't there. It comes down to the factory. It comes down to the factory manager. It comes back to the culture that he puts into that factory while he's there or she's there, and what they're producing. We saw the turnaround in Trinidad in 2018, late 2017, 18. They're made in Pinal del Rio predominantly, and they went through a couple of years of absolute crap. The Reyes, the Coloniales, even the Fundis that were coming out of there were rubbish, and we called it because I see them. I used to see them every week. It was just rubbish.
That was prior to 2018.
Yeah, just for a couple of years, 3 or 4 years prior, and we were calling them. How do you have a premium cigar that? How do you come out with these paperbark, flaky, thin, tracked, almost green wrappers on them and call them a premium? And then all of a sudden, bang, it changed. It changed almost overnight. And Trinidad production for the last couple of years, since 2018, has been superb. Generally, it's been excellent compared to what they were for the previous 3 years. So what changed? The culture changed. Someone paid attention to it. Changes like that don't occur without a focus and a vision. And I've seen that. If I remember correctly, the manager at Upman ran that 2014. I knew quite well. Passionate, absolutely passionate. He was in there. He had everyone talking reading off the same page, you should say. He was brilliant. And what was coming out was superb. Romeo and Julieta went into a hole in 2004, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Still haven't come out.
Yeah, they're still in that hole.
I think they're still in the hole.
They had a really nice run, R&J Churchill's in 16, 17, and a nice run of R&J Exhibition 4s. I think they were POUs in 2014. Were just stunning cigars. Still some of the best R&J Exhibition 4s ever produced. And that went for 18 months, that run. Who was in charge of that? We'll never know. We will never know.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're saying it's about the runs. It's about who's managing the factory at that time.
It's more. Yeah. It's far more micro. It's more micro.
About the runs.
It's more micro than people people make it out to be. Yeah. People pull about years and this. It really is micro in terms of what's going on internally in that factory. Who's putting? Because it's all about attention to detail. It's all about saying, no, that's not acceptable. That standard's not acceptable. No, we're not going to accept that leaf or those bales into this blend. It's about someone saying no, and someone getting away from quota and looking at quality and looking at consistency. And unfortunately, pretty much every one of those cigars that had those great runs, it might last 18 months. But it just doesn't continue. I just haven't seen it continue.
There's just too much turnover. It sounds like there's turnover where you don't have
the
consistent
politics,
management.
the turnover. Yeah, and the internal politics of a factory are phenomenal. It makes the bold and the beautiful look like amateur hour. You have to bring everyone along with you.
What is going on over at Habanos, Rob? Give us the inside scoop.
There is no inside scoop because distributors are scratching their heads. Retailers are pulling their hair out all over the world. And I feel sorry for those who've got serious bricks and mortar enterprises and heavy investments because it's very hard for them to pivot. However, I can only guess that they've sat down and done the numbers and worked out that they won't be able to get back to serious full production in terms of they won't get back to full production for a number of years for one reason or another. And until they start seeing stock piling up on shelves around the world, maybe that's when they'll work out they've got the balance right, or they believe they've got the balance right. Is it greed or is it need? And I suspect it's somewhere between the two. They've got to perform with the joint venture. They need the cash, but at the same time, what are they producing? 40% of their portfolio, 45% of their portfolio. They've got to produce their portfolio. And the problem with one of the issues with Habanos is that there is no transparency whatsoever. They don't tell anyone anything. They don't tell the distributors anything. It's just they make these grand announcements. They launch these beautiful new cigars, and no one sees them for 2 years. Or they do a little batch that comes out, and then no one sees them for 2 years, or maybe ever again. In fact, there are some cigars that have never been released that they've announced. So, you know, you, in the end, if you're in the business, you've worked out that you're dealing with a dysfunctional operation that's got inherent issues. And if you're waiting for the next order to come through as a Habanos retailer without doing anything else, then you're in serious trouble. You need to have pivoted, and look, you can see it now. You got the Council of Habanos trying to sell non-Cubans and get non-Cuban, not distributorships that are trying to get some non-Cubans in. You've got Cuban Habanos distributors. Dortmund was the best one. You know, Dortmund. You got Habanos distributors chasing down NC non-Cuban suppliers for distributorships left, right, and center. Of course, it doesn't help too much for them because a lot of those major non-Cuban brands and smaller ones haven't got the excess capacity to supply Europe or Asia to meet that Habanos shortfall, and they won't have it for years to come. The US is still booming as a cigar market. It's going exceptionally well.
So you're saying are you saying that the overall European market is just short, generally speaking?
Short. Yeah. I've never seen. If you look at the Spanish market, take the Spanish market, you'll find in most of the stores there at the moment, you'll find some Monte 4s, you'll find Vega Fina, which is distributed by Tabacalera there. You'll find Jose Piedras, and you'll find bugger all else. Except last month, every store had Arturo Fuente. Yeah.
That's interesting.
That's interesting.
Right?
That's interesting. Now is Asia, is it not short, but fat with demand, therefore fat?
Yeah. Everyone's fat with demand. Asia's exceptionally short of cigars. No different to Europe. No one's got enough. You're selling the same stuff every week, every other week. If you get a specialty order comes through, even if you're a London High Street, yeah. So if you're a London High Street retailer and they launch this brand new cigar, it's come out, your allocation will be 3 to 4 boxes. Right? There's just no depth to the volume. And that's why you're saying for 1 million cigars ready to go. That's all fine and dandy. But if they're Monte 2s, D4s, and then they've been in regular supply now for the last 2 years. Well, mind you, some major net retailers who are mates of mine, they were out of Monte 2s and D4s for a significant period of time. So yeah, it works.
We celebrated our 1-year anniversary in November with an amazing Padron, cognac, and champagne, and we shared our appreciation for you, our listeners. Thanks so much for joining us this year.
This cigar is so amazing.
It's a cigar, isn't it?
Unbelievable.
Now that it's opened up, Garcon, can you talk about the champagne before we toast real quick?
Okay, so this champagne I picked very intentionally. First of all, champagne is extremely hard to pair with any New World stick because champagne is light, right? This is not something like a red wine that's going to hold up against a stick like this. Of champagnes I like to drink, this is one of the fuller flavor with a longer finish that will hold up best, and that's relative, with a cigar like this. The champagne we're drinking, fitting for a celebratory occasion like this one, is Bollinger. I love this because it has a lot in common with Paul Roger. I have figured out, for whatever reason, champagnes that have become known as sort of British champagnes. They're really, really popular in the British market, tend to be drier champagnes, which is exactly what I look for in a champagne. So a little quick, actually, we should toast because I have a lot I want to say.
Yes, please.
Excellent.
Let's toast first.
Let's toast because this is great stuff.
Gentlemen, cheers.
Cheers, lizards.
Happy 1 year anniversary.
Cheers.
To all the listeners out there, we're cheering to you as well. Cheers, boys.
Cheers. Peace.
Thank you for joining us on this journey.
Long live the lizards.
Yes,
Slan
sir.
Cheval.
Lizard Nation is strong, as
Slan
Rooster would
Cheval.
say.
Cheers.
Cheers,
Peace.
boys.
Peace and love, gents.
Love you all. Oh, gosh. Oh, yeah.
There's the long finish.
We have
Wow.
settled in. We are here now.
You know, but it's dry.
That's
It's
delicious.
It's got a
Minerality.
little bit of minerality. It's got a little bit of fruit, but it's not too sweet. Super balanced. It's a great.
I like
it's
the
a great
tang.
champagne.
I like the tang on the finish there.
It pairs wonderfully with the cigar.
Oh,
Wow.
It honestly works better than I even expected. I'm
Yeah.
really happy with this.
Well, there's something
so
about
good.
this cigar, you know, there's a weirdness to it, which is beautiful. It's so different than any Padron I've ever had or 80th. I can't even, I'm surprised that Padron can reach another level, which it has tonight for me. Which I
Yeah.
mean, we all know how much we love these cigars. This
Yeah.
is on another.
Yeah, so this is
level.
a legendary cigar among our group.
Oh, yeah.
But we've always known it to be a very smooth but flavorful cigar. It's smooth.
Yeah,
This has a richness that
this is special.
I haven't had before.
I
And
agree.
This cigar.
can I just add something, Senator, before you start about the champagne? I just want to say, like, this has been 1 year, right? That we just like used to sit around and talk about, stuff that we just hang out and drink and smoke, and we just started to, we decided to record a pod, and now here it's been 1 year now we've been doing this, and how awesome this is.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So this is unbelievable. Great cigar, great champagne, and great to know you all and do this pod together.
Yeah, it's a great thing.
Cheers,
And,
thanks. Yeah.
and again,
Cheers.
to all the lizards out there who listen to this every week, who are so passionate about what we're doing. I mean, we don't fancy ourselves as experts. We're just a bunch of guys sitting around having fun. It's awesome that we have a community, a worldwide community now.
Yeah, and
of-
it's
of
great to
folks listening
connect
to
with like
this.
like-minded people,
Yeah,
all around the world.
yeah, very special. So
And one of the things that
Never
I
gets
always find amazing is that a lot of the things that I enjoy about coming and sharing this time together for the podcast, a lot of the magic happens in the tips and tails of our time together, where it's actually we're not recording, and some of those moments where we're in either the Senator's Lounge late at night, where we're all going through different life issues and we're talking real talk, and some of that stuff is something that's always been memorable to me, and I'll be able to reflect on. But it's not something that we shared with the listeners, but
Well, I think some of it we should.
some of it we have.
some
Yeah.
of it we have. But it's been like I said, some of that magic is also very resplendent in my memory over the past year.
I've always kind of thought about the person who is kind of in the middle of nowhere that doesn't have the access that we do to a beautiful lounge like this, or a lounge somewhere near them, that they're able to sit down and listen to this podcast and they're in the room with us. Like there's always that, it's like there's an empty chair between me and Pagoda right now that
Max is right there.
Max is right here from Australia. Andrew on Insta, there's so many listeners. They're right there next to me. Like I always think about that person. Like this has opened up the conversation that, we welcome all of these folks into this conversation with us. That to me is really something special. And I'm just so glad that it's worked and it's clicked.
Well, and it mirrors it absolutely, and it kind of mirrors what lounge life is like. Right?
Exactly
Yes,
right. That's
exactly.
exactly right.
Hope you enjoyed this episode. Thanks for joining us. You can find our merch store and ratings archive at our brand new website, loungelizardspod.com. That's loungelizardspod.com. Don't forget to leave us a rating and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. If you have any comments, questions, if you want to reach out, say hello, tell us what you're smoking, email us, hello@loungelizardspod.com. You can also find us on Instagram @loungelizardspod. We really appreciate your time, and we'll see you next week.